What's up? Welcome
Hello.
to the Hellion Art Show. What is this, episode 22? Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, chat. I am always on time. Very, very much on time. I mean, no, not today, I'll admit. Every time I'm like, I'll totally start on time, something happens. Or, yeah, so, anyways.
Hey, Blingo's Vengeful Ghost. I'm glad you're still haunting this stream.
I mean, first of all, we have to wait for Blingo to start the stream, okay? So that's a necessity. We can't abandon Blingo. So, and yes, I found, not only did I find Chainsaw Man #1, I found it and I finished reading the entire thing, not #1, the entire comic in like 3 days. So, I approve. I also read Fire Punch, which I didn't like as much. I feel like it didn't super go anywhere. Cool idea, but I don't know. You should read it anyways. I think maybe you'll like it more than me.
Fire Punch.
Oh, the second title you were talking about, Fire Punch.
Fire Punch. It's by the same guy that did Chainsaw Man.
Oh, okay.
It's about a guy who's on fire.
Chainsaw Man was good. Oh, the anime looks so good. The trailer just came out. So many good trailers have been coming out. I just saw the God of War trailer.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
The trailer looks really good too.
Okay, so we're kicking Chimera. Anyways, hi John. Hi Shane. What's up? Resi Graham. Hello. And Hinge. Hi. Hey, you can jump in if you want to. You should have the link. Ray Rahu. Hello. We have so many people. Yay. Happy. Keo the Swibs. What's up?
I still
It's
have
what?
I'm only starting to recognize your screen names, but hello.
Well, since you guys have abandoned me for like 3 weeks, but it's okay. You're back now. I forgive you. Shadowhawk, what's up? Dan is doubled. Oh, there we go. Hi. He's back. It is workroom. Yeah. So hello everybody. I'm here today with some regulars, Chimera, AC, and Nick Zamudio, who are on my team for Fiendish, and Dan, Boob Dan, as you all in the chat probably have met before. And I'm here with Chris, who is the creator of Infintile Chronicles. I'm sorry, I didn't pronounce. I probably said totally wrong.
Yeah,
I was gonna start wondering what kind of a role play game is this? Infantile.
No, I didn't even. I'm really busting like
this
silly.
will be a very interesting stream, and Boop Dan will.
Okay, don't rub it in because you're ruining Chris's project. That's my fault. That's not how it's pronounced. It's Infinitale.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's,
shut up now. Please tell everybody about your project.
Wow, Irene.
That's a twofer for me. Whoa. No, that's twice because my screen name on here is Racercam. And it's super difficult to pronounce, so everybody's calling me like Res VRGAM and stuff because ancient Rome didn't have U's or W's. But anyways, Infinitale Chronicles is a epic fantasy comic book series that began life over 30 years ago when I was developing a tabletop Infinite Ale. No. It's a portmanteau of infinite and tale. Put it together, Infinitale.
Right, now I realize that. You know what's funny? In my head, when I was looking at your Indiegogo and just reading it, I read it the right way, but then on stream, I had to say it wrong. Because that's just how it happens. But anyways, carry on.
Cool.
Yeah, I like the name, Infinitale. Infinity Tale. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. Originally, it was because the tabletop game system that I was designing was based off of more of a storytelling centric style of game rather than the murder hobos scenarios that we usually get from MMOs or tabletop games. And the Chronicles themselves, oddly enough, they were written by 12, 13, 14-year-olds. And they were chronicles of the game sessions from that game back in the early 90s. And they resided in a storage bin as I moved around the world, Australia, Japan, California. And I just left it there as I basically I worked in video game development as a game designer for about a decade, and one of the things about that industry is you never make your game, so you get really creatively constipated.
Right. It's like
Right. I've worked in video games. That's correct.
Yeah.
I think it's an expression that goes like work by committee.
Oh yeah.
It's that, and also game designers are just really bad at setting goals and finishing it. Like, I just noticed that there's a lot of getting distracted. Like, ooh, this is a cool idea. Let's do this mini game. Let's just do this idea. And then somebody quits, and then the new person has a whole new set of ideas, and you have to start over all over. So a lot of games fail just because of that. It's complicated.
Feature creep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I've heard that. Okay.
Cool. So So basically, after I left the industry, I wanted to continue with doing something creative, and I opened up that storage container, and I started reading through some of these old chronicled notes, and went, "Holy crap! This is like good. Like this is actually salvageable. I could probably make a tabletop role-playing game with all of this, and these stories are actually pretty decent." And I realized it was a huge undertaking, and I was talking to a couple of my friends that are still in the industry, and I was like, is it really like economically viable to just make a out of the blue tabletop role-playing game system with all the video game technology? Like, it's like the world has moved on. The 90s were a different time. So I was talking to a couple of my friends, and one of them who works for a company that has a very successful MMO. We were talking, and it was like, well, how did like World of Warcraft become such a successful MMO out of the gate? And it was, well, it had so many years of other games and resources that introduced players to the world long before the game came out. So when they entered into the MMO, they already were familiar with the setting and the characters and stuff. And it was like, well, how could I do that with my pen and paper game? And I was like, oh, well, I could take the chronicles that we have and make stories out of them. These were the recorded game sessions, and they make a coherent, like, long sweeping tales. And I looked at the first one because I figured I might as well start with the very first one, like the genesis of the universe for it. And that was the War of the Trees Saga, which was about 2 years of games, and it introduces the players or the audience to this universe that was created for this game. And whether or not you even like role-playing games, like, you could be like, I'm not into the role-playing game stuff, but I really love the fantasy stuff. And looking at the way it was written, looking at all the stuff, I realized there's a lot of inspiration from like 90s anime and Saturday morning cartoons and things. You're before.
Speaking to the right crowd. Yeah, you did your. I've seen you in the chat, so I know that you know how to pitch it. And you're on the right show. All right, carry on. This art is really great, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
Carry on, friend.
Yeah. Look at this.
So, I obviously there's inspirations from Wendy and Richard Pini's ElfQuest, or there's a couple other comics as well that I really liked back in the early 90s, late 80s. And I wanted to kind of bring that type of storytelling back, or at least back before I became a cynical 40-something, that naive, the adventure that I like yearned for as a teenager. We kind of lose that as we get older. We become more cautious. So I figure, fortune favors the bold. Go with what worked back in the 90s with these stories, and the cartoons that I cherished, like Saturday morning cartoons like Pirates of Darkwater, or I think there was even like a Prince Valiant cartoon at one point, and even the Gummy Bears, Disney's Gummy Bears. Like they're all elements of this kind of mashed together through this kid's mind into these stories. And I started this game because of a friend. He convinced me to go to the Pelham Public Library in Pelham, New Hampshire, where I was living at the time. And the librarian there was like, hey, internet doesn't exist, but look at all these books. Learn the Dewey Decimal System, and you've got a world of resources.
Dewey Decimal System.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
Yeah, like we had the Encyclopedia Britannica, like all this stuff. And when I was looking
back in the good old days when the real world existed.
Yeah, before welcome, you've got mail. So I read through all the books, poured through it all, and because I was developing initially a game, one of the things that I found really tough was that as a dungeon master at the time, the world was only as big as the dungeon master, and it became incredibly limiting when the players knew more than the dungeon master, and I was a dumb kid. So I grabbed every book I could to get as much knowledge as I could, and with things I didn't know, I was like, oh crap, I got to take a note on that about herbalism or different mythologies or whatever, like different types of weapons. Like, why is this called a Bernie and this called a Habersian? Or what's a hauberk versus a cuirass, or or a coif or a coif, or how do you pronounce it? So I went through all the books for that.
Question.
Yeah, totally nerded out, and I was looking at inspirations for like how Dungeons and Dragons started, and I realized Dungeons and Dragons was kind of a shameless ripoff of Tolkien, and so I went over to Tolkien. I was like, okay, let's go over to Tolkien. What did Tolkien do to make his stuff so cool? And then I realized, oh, he researched like Anglo-Saxon mythology, all of these like ancient.
No, he was on a different level. Like he spoke. What is it? Ancient, not only Old Norse, he spoke like Old Welsh, and like he spoke multiple. He was a straight up linguist. That was his job. He was a professor, and then he just had a real passion for mythology. I think what made his book successful was it wasn't just like the world building was really deep, and people go on about the world building, but he understood mythology, and he was actively, consciously trying to create cultural mythology, like a new form, because he was trying to create mythology for England and for like the British Isles, because a lot of the original mythology had been lost in the Norman conquest. So he understood how to tell stories, and he was trying to oh my gosh, Dan, are you alive?
I'm alive.
Don't you click on it?
I hit the thingy that was the wrong button.
A demon was summoned there.
Sorry, I was
sure you're alive. Okay,
I was just trying to bring some action. Sorry.
We're awake now.
Carry on. Don't mind me.
Keeping it exciting. So yeah, that's where Tolkien was successful, I think.
Well, Chris, are you saying, is this story leading up to you being like, so I wanted to know all the things, and Tolkien knew so much more than me. Are you going to say that you started studying all the things that Tolkien knew? Like, how far is this going?
Have you built your own constructed language yet?
Yeah, I have multiple ones. I actually worked when I worked on a video game called Defiance. We had the philologist, that's the person who invents languages, who invented Dothraki for Game of Thrones. So it was interesting to pick his brains when he was around.
Oh, that's
But you're not joking. You actually did make up new languages.
Yes.
Can you introduce me to the guy who made Dothraki?
I was a nobody in the industry, so...
It's okay. We'll talk later.
Okay. So, I guess. Sorry for the long ramble, but
no.
I guess what I was trying to say was, I looked at what Tolkien was researching, and I thought, rather than ripping off Tolkien, and rather than ripping off Dungeons and Dragons, which ripped off Tolkien, or Warhammer, or World of Warcraft, that all it's like a big cascade of ripoffs. Well, what did Tolkien look at? And I was looking at like the Wolsung saga by Snorri Sturluson, the Icelandic sagas, or the committed to text Hibernian or Irish Gaelic mythology, and the Welsh mythology, and various other forms of mythos that weren't really as common. So, like, one of the things that I found, that if you're going to rip something off, don't make it something that everybody knows. It's the more obscure something is. Yeah. Well, I mean,
for everyone, all creatives.
Yeah. What is it? Good artists borrow, great artists steal.
Well, we're like, everyone is influenced by something. Like, nothing is completely original. It's about how you put it together, how you put the pieces together.
Yeah, Joseph Campbell and the Hero of a Thousand Faces. The idea that all the stories of heroism have been told. It's just how you retell them that makes your story unique.
Well, people gravitate to certain types of stories, but there are always new ways, new angles you can look at the same story.
Yep. So with that said, I was researching these different mythos, and one of them, for example, was the old poem of Cad Cato, or the War of the Trees, which was a highly contested poem that different historians they couldn't really piece it together. Like, there was all sorts of arguments, because the problem with Hibernia or Ireland was that most of their history and their culture wasn't committed to text. Like the Ogham language, the Beth Lewis Neen alphabet, which is based off of trees, by the way. They're all trees, the letters. It wasn't really used until much later, and because they used a lot of wood doesn't survive as long as stone. So things like the Norse or the Scandinavian who had the rune stones, those will last a lot longer than somebody with a tally stick scratching in a few runes or whatever, and it just disappears over a few rainy years.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you're speaking to the right crowd. I love all that old mythology stuff, and I'm interested in. Do you follow like some YouTubers that talk about mythology, especially like Old Norse mythology? Jackson Crawford is a really good one. He's a professor of Old Norse language. He speaks Old Norse, and he's a professor of Nordic languages in like Colorado. He's like a Viking cowboy. It's amazing, but it's a really, really informative channel. I'll send you a link later. I think you would like. There's some good information there.
Very cool. Well, being a Fisk, I actually have Viking ancestors. I did one of those 23andMe things, and it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Troll.
On the silver card? No.
Well, are you British?
What's up?
Fisk?
Fisk
I couldn't tell if Dan was talking or if like the apocalypse is going on over there.
I'm
a little confused. I hope he's all
No,
right.
sorry about that.
I heard voices in my head, and they weren't the normal ones. So.
No, just making sure Dan's still alive. He's getting blown up, and then there's yelling. All right. Anyways, yeah, I love that kind of stuff where mythology is. There's a reason these stories survive for so long, and I love seeing people readapt it. Not like, yeah, it's cool when people adapt it for like in a new way. Like Journey to the West has been done a million times, but it's honestly kind of annoying. And I think what I like to see is taking parts from ancient mythology and integrating it into new stories.
Yeah.
So I would think that seems like what you're doing, and it seems like we have to go to your website because the campaign looks very nice. This is great art. Are you the artist?
Yeah, not only that, but like we also checked out the trailer if it's in there.
Oh yeah, but I do want to look at the website first. The trailer is going to be like the cherry on the top at the end, but also it's like annoying for me to share. I'm not like sharing audio right now, so I'm gonna reshare. So yeah, but are you the artist or do you hire someone?
Sorry.
Oh yeah. It's an elf tree.
Are we ever going to get the answer? Are you the artist or not?
No.
Thank you for. It's fine. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Sorry.
I'll shut up. It's not my show.
Unfortunately, I am not the artist of this book. There's multiple artists, and I am grateful that I've been able to work alongside some of them. That I was able to kind of ask favors for and commission art for them. But the book itself was produced by High Concept Media Productions. I probably butchered that. Sorry, Zen. This guy Zen, who I approached about making the comics. I don't want to sob story this, but I have a autoimmune disease that's destroying the nerves in my hands.
No.
And I was an artist when I was younger, but my drawing days are.
That's
over.
really sad.
Well, I mean,
but you're still creating, so this is a happy story.
Yeah.
So man, sorry though.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, as long as I can still do my job, but I mean, like, look at this, my hands are.
But you're still creating, and that's admirable. And this is an amazing story.
Yeah,
I love it.
So the inker for this particular book was a Portuguese artist by the name of Antonio Brandão, and the colorist was Elzier Alves, who is, I believe, also Portuguese.
What did you say his first name was?
Elzier.
Okay.
Alzir.
I see. Oh,
Alzier?
I have not heard of that name before. Okay.
Yeah. Just he's got a
No.
and the interior stuff was done by those two guys, and I colored a couple of the pages here and there, but more or less it was them. And our concept artist, this guy Zed Edge, or Zach, he's from Australia, and he's an amazing artist who helped me solidify my character designs, my world designs. And the funny thing is he started helping me with the game art, and then it was like, oh, by the way, we're making comics. Oh, move them over to the comic stuff.
That's cool.
Cool, yeah.
And then what we're seeing here is one of the characters from the War of the Trees Saga emerging from some type of vortex or something with some weird looking hand thing and a crystalline staff. And that was done by an artist, and I apologize because I've never called her by her last name, but Michelle Hefner. She worked for Blizzard, Riot. She's done a lot of the like amazing, like, if you guys like cheesecake art, she is probably, I think she's definitely my favorite for that. I
was thinking this looks like League art.
Yeah.
And it's like this looks like Riot work.
Yep.
That's cool. You're like pulling in your industry connections. Like, ooh, I'm gonna pick an artist from here, an artist from there. That's awesome.
Man,
that must be nice.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I'm super grateful for, because had I not, met these people or met friends of friends or whatever, I don't think I would have ever been able to finagle that.
But that's awesome that you have these resources at your disposal. I mean, it's like the art is going to be really good, and all the art we've seen now is fantastic. And frankly, I don't understand why you're like not. You have like 9 backers now. Like, seriously, let's refresh right now, because like I need to see some more back. Oh, you have one more, so there you go.
All right,
thank you.
Come on, I'm backing this because I want to see, like, just for the art, even just for the art. But I love fantasy, obviously, but like the art is fantastic, and anything with deep world building, dude, I'm down for that.
Well, the other thing is
also, this website is like serious business.
Oh, thanks.
Damn.
I built it myself.
Oh, so are you open for work?
That's Dan actually backing
Dan
it.
Thank you, Dan. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. It's I try to do what I can for my website, and I'd like to think I'm proud of it, but I don't know like web design and stuff. So this is a whole other level. Like, you've got this is like, it's not just like a portfolio website. It's like you've got all the books, you have like all the scrolly thingies, I don't even know what you call it, and you have a news section, and you have like a library. This is a whole new level. And I don't know why people aren't backing your book. Everyone, you need this book right now. You want to back it. You want this. You want to take this home. Come on.
On that note, Chris, how long is the campaign going on for?
I think it has about 45 days left on it.
Oh, yeah, 46 days.
Oh, 60. Oh, 46, yeah.
Okay, and the objective is
an insane amount.
You can make that. You just need to get on the right channels. You can totally make that.
The reason why it's so high is because when you lack talent, you got to use money. And when I financed this book, because here's the thing: is the book is complete. It's all done. It's sitting there. It's actually at the printers, and they're just waiting for quantities. Because I want to get this out as quickly as possible. It's the first book, so I want to make this, the first impression be the best one. And everything's all done. It's just waiting, like I said, for for the quantities, whether or not the campaign succeeds or fails. Anybody that's backed is guaranteed the perks that they've ordered, because I already have them all. They're all just sitting like my dining room table is just dominated right now with shipping stuff.
Sweet, people like hearing that. How many pages is this first book?
The first book is 50 pages, full color.
Sweet.
So
Yeah,
Nice.
that's a good size. That's a good size. Pretty especially for crowdfunding. That's, and it's all done. So
yeah. I mean, I funded this and I was like, wow. I mean, not to say that this makes my card look like a shitbox, but sorry, but this costs more.
Oh
than
no,
the card.
yeah, you can swear on this show. I don't care.
All right. Hold on, my phone say. No. So yeah, I financed the book completely out of pocket, and I realized if I was going to blow more than 10 grand on each book, then I wouldn't be able to eat or live in my home. So
Right. So
that's why-
what we're funding right now, is it printing costs, obviously, but also the production of the second book?
Yeah, it's kind of like a canary in the coal mine too. It's gauging interest. Like if nobody backs it, it's like, why would I want to invest more, finances or whatever into something if like 3 people or whatever are like, yeah, this is cool, line my canary cage with it. Yeah, it's not really designed to finance me. I'm not making a profit from this. In fact, some of the things I've actually willingly took a hit because I wanted to up the quality on certain things.
Passion.
Yeah, well, it's all money that I make in excess of what I'm trying to get for a goal. I actually mapped out the entire roadmap of the product line because I wanted to have some level of confidence in readers knowing that I'm not J.J. Abrams. Like, I'm not winging this as I'm going along. There is no Rey Skywalker at the end of this.
Fired.
Oh, yeah, it's tired.
Yeah, I mean, the
That is
story
good to let people know that, because that's a problem.
Yeah, well, I'm also a nobody, so it's a really big ask to ask people for good faith and be like,
but that's
hey,
that's all of us here, though, and like the audience. I think in indie comics and for Indiegogo, what people care about is the product, because like some people on Indiegogo are famous, but like most people aren't. So it's about finding new people and new projects. So I really think this looks great. It's just a matter of you getting on the right channels and promoting it, and you got like 45 days. So yeah. Sorry, Nick. What were you saying? Oh no! You're gonna make 12,000. You're fine.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Nick, what were you saying?
Nothing. Went over it already.
Oh, okay. All right.
One thing
it looks really nice. Looks like it's got that really retro feel to it.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I want to add is that so the stories themselves, again, they're written back in the 90s or whatever. There's no one of the things that bothers me about handsome devil he is. One of the things that bothers me about a lot of modern storytelling is that there's this, you feel like you're like watching a sermon, you're being preached to, you're being told how to think, how to feel, or whatever about something. And honestly, that's not my job or my business, what you take from the stories. There might be villains or heroes that you actually get a completely different kind of idea from than what was originally presented or what was intended. And I'm not going to tell you what my intentions were. It's up for the audience to kind of judge it for themselves and not be preached to. And I think people generally appreciate that. I mean, you have to have some level of respect for the people who are reading your books to be like, here's the scenario. It's up to you to decide whether or not, this guy's despicable or this scenario is good or bad or whatever. And Chris, I found that. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, I was going to ask, on this, when you're talking about other works of fiction, telling you how to feel about something, what kind of an example do you think of this? Because I actually don't really know what you're referring to.
So in a lot of modern movies or whatever, they paint pictures of scenarios where you should the creator is telling you have to like this character. If you don't, you're an istophobe, or you have to like this particular scenario where strong woman beats up evil Lifetime television movie man because men are evil. You know what I mean? Or
I'd assume if you're mostly in this circuit, you're not going for anything like that.
Yeah, but I mean, like for example, for me, one of the ones that really kind of like I was watching, I think it was Captain Marvel, with my and we were watching it, and she leans over and she's like, did Captain Marvel just mug that guy and steal his
Right? Yeah.
That's
No,
not like
she's
a good guy.
She's the hero, so it doesn't matter what she does, it's always right.
Yeah, it's like, wait, what?
That's actually a great example, because I was trying to think. It's like I don't really don't really watch entertainment that I don't like. So it's like when when Captain Marvel was like one of those outliers. I was like, I heard about it and I've seen that scene where I just am befuddled and seeing people defend it. So it's like, okay, that's a good example. Just like people like really pushing an agenda to try and kind of force the audience to like something, whether or not they agree with it.
There's also Wanda Vision was a really good example where she essentially, I mean, that was bad, and I'm surprised people don't talk about it because it was like, I don't know. Okay, so essentially, how much should I spoil? Oh, people already know what happens. But she was really sad. Her vibrator died. So because of that, she decided to mind control a whole town and enslave them and like force them to play out a perfect life for her so she could live out her life with Vision. And yeah, and and it was so bad that like people in the town were like, because they were being forced to do and say what she wanted them to do so she could like live a normal life, and then it's like they were trapped in this world. They wanted to die. It was so bad. And then at the end of the story, it's like, oh, she finally releases.
Like a good thing.
Yeah, they framed it as a good thing. Like it's like, oh, you were hurt, you were grieving. It's understandable. It's like,
just ruined
bitch, enslaved a whole town.
I can see that. Like again, I know that that's like the premise of it. I didn't know how it continued, but I do remember like what was that, like House of M? I think it was is that storyline where she does that whole thing where like she rewrites the world and she makes that.
Yeah, it's kind of based on that.
Yeah. So it's like I remember that, but although they framed Wanda in a negative light on that one, the story itself did not know how to handle it. And I do remember that even though I liked that thing, like I liked the premise, I liked how it went on, the conclusion to that was so lackluster because it was just kind of like, it's there and like we shake our fist at her, but she disappears. So like nothing matters. I remember that. It's like, because they have to maintain the status quo. She can't be killed, both because, I mean, they want to get rid of her, but you can't put your main characters in a bad light, and like none of them want to be stained with murder or something of the kind, or I don't know, being insensitive to somebody with mental illness. So I remember how like that ending was just frustrating because you see that the story is heading towards doing something, and then they just completely stop, and you see them just kind of go on their tippy toes around broken glass, and it's like, it's over. So it's like I can see why the TV version would be even more to that. Just like for like, mental illness,
try and make her as sympathetic as possible.
Whatever, like mansplaining, emotional state, like all this. Like, of course, they would go the complete opposite way. It's like, no, we're allies to all of these things. We totally know about these things, and we back them up. That's a shame because I mostly just heard about the beginning for that series and everybody talking about how well it went, but I kind of had dropped off of superhero stuff for a while.
Well, yeah, but good for you.
I know we've been talking about like bad examples of like telling the reader how to feel about your characters and stuff, but I think to be fair, as a writer, you're always in that position. Like no matter what you do, you're always telling the reader how to feel about a character. It's just that you try to manage it a bit more tactfully, I suppose. So, like,
you should feel this way.
Well, you need it like have
give an opening for interpretation.
Yeah, exactly.
Some people like villainous characters, but it's more of a like having a objective view of, well, most people understand that punching somebody and robbing them just for saying, a snarky comment is that makes you the bad guy.
He didn't
So
say someone
just
snarky. He just said you should smile more.
oh yeah,
He called
right,
him
yeah,
snarky.
right.
Yeah, that's a
He
pretty
didn't even
innocuous
say
thing.
anything. It was totally crazy. But well, that's what happens when you put agenda in front of things, and it can be in any direction. It's not just like one type of agenda. Of course, now there's a lot of agenda being pushed, but like it can be no matter what. If you're putting sort of lecturing at readers or trying to tell them like I'm trying to instill something in you, that shows through. And if you put that before the story, your story suffers.
You know what? But the thing is, just with a lot of these things, is that it doesn't even seem to be like putting out a message for showing someone, say, something. You know, because I feel like at least with that one, you kind of have the excuse of like, at least this is the perspective of the story, and like you can kind of separate yourselves from that and still enjoy it. But the issue with this, like especially this, the one that I'm trying to hold on to because that's the one that I recognize is the whole thing with not Wonder Woman. What is her name? Captain Marvel. Is that it is not trying to actually show you or tell you something through the story. It is trying to use the metatextual information of what the current climate is and trying to virtue signal. And so it's like the storytelling is broken up because those two steps of explaining as to why this would work and who would respond in a certain way to this are not acknowledged. And it's just like she does this thing that is asinine for someone that is supposed to be portrayed as a hero. And then she just kind of winks at the camera like, isn't that right, women? It's like,
I think that's a good way of putting it. Instead of just any portraying anyone as this is a villain, this is a hero is bad, because all of our stories are like, I know this is the villain and I want people to not like or at least recognize this character is in the wrong.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. So it's like, if we see a world with internal consistency, we can enjoy characters, stories, and writers whose opinions we completely disagree with. Right. But they can still be telling an interesting story with their own perspective without having to try and, kind of prostrate themselves to, I don't know, like, what is that? Like, I
pander?
Yeah, there you go. That's the word, to pander to an audience. Especially because if you're not being pandered to and if it doesn't work with you, then it's going to be very off-putting and it immediately kicks you out of the story.
Right. That I think it's just about making your perspective believable. And honestly, I think there's a bit of cynicism in a lot of people who are, doing the virtue signaling and pandering nowadays. It's like, do you really even believe in your own, like your own ideology, your own values? Because it seems a lot of the time like it's not a value system; it's just tribalism. Because one example I bring up a lot. Are you familiar with Vinland Saga? Are you like a? Yeah. So I find myself disagreeing a lot with what Yukimura puts forward in the story, and like I disagree with the philosophy, but it's like, but I love the comic. It's not about agreeing with the philosophy or the story or like what the hero of the story wants. Like it's sincere and it's about telling a sincere story.
Yeah.
So it's believably told. Yeah. So that's really nice to hear that that's your approach with this as well. Sorry, Nick, I keep on talking over you.
Going back to some of the other details that you had been talking about with Infinitale, one thing that kind of caught my ear was when you mentioned that the stories were written by around like 14-year-olds. Do you mean that you actually started developing the ideas for the tabletop game /world back when you were younger, and so you're recycling these that you wrote down, or are you mentioning this as like the play testing happened with that age range? It
was so these chronicles were actually on typewriter print, like Xerox typewriter print, when I started salvaging them. The game itself was developed back in '91, and it went through some testing all the way up to about 97, 98, and a little bit into early 2000s. And it was all written out. Like the chronicles were the adventure that was being played. And when I was developing the system, I wanted to make it like its own like unique identity from Dungeons and Dragons. So rather than one of the things that always bothered me about Dungeons and Dragons was the smarty pants who came in and just talked over the dungeon master because he knew more. He read the or she read the
rules lawyers.
Yeah. Well, they've read the module. They know the end of the module. They know that.
Oh, that's even worse.
That's no fun.
and the thing that, well, the thing that bothers me the most about that is it's what's the point of playing after that? Like if you know, like there's a linear, like in video game development we call that railroading, where you basically force somebody through a progressive series of story beats. You know, the most famous example is shoot the lock. You know, there's this video game footage from one of the single player Call of Duty games where you can't do anything. You're just sitting there, and there's an NPC that has this loop of audio that's shoot the lock, and you just have to shoot a door open to go and progress and trigger the next event. And it's very limiting. Like I've noticed that a lot of modern RPGs have this very limitation, almost mechanical to the sense that it's like you're emulating a computer game rather than the improvisation of a tabletop game.
Yeah.
Like, and one of the systems that I developed for INFINITALE was kind of plot points where no two adventures were the same. They could be completely different. When you're developing your story, you have like a deck of cards essentially, and you know, you have like your conclusion cards. You have your there's basically an entire arc of your adventure, and just when players are thinking that, oh, I know where this is going to lead, you totally switch out a card, and suddenly it's a completely different scenario, and it's like, holy crap! Like I didn't expect that, you know. And players are not the members of the jury; they're not going to strike from the record things that they've heard or seen or know. So I know that's part of
well, yeah, because I mean, if they do that, then they are actually just like putting that red flags, like I cheated and read the module.
Yeah, or I know what that monster is. I know that it has 2d6 hit dice, and I can take it out with, you know, and it eliminates.
Well, hold on, now I feel called out. But you see, the key is not metagaming, because I know way too much about the monsters.
Like, anytime any of my players brings up Baba Yaga, the next sentence is like, yeah, so I read ahead.
No, I love reading about the world. I go metagame. Okay, all right.
Chris, I have to ask, since we're talking about like railroads versus sandbox types of tabletop RPGs, in your comic in INFINITALE, do the characters ever just suddenly take a left turn somewhere and derail the plot like actual players?
Well, we
and suddenly there's just filler for days.
Well, actually,
oh no, I don't want that.
It's funny because like part of getting in that you know, the rod and carrot of getting players to stay where you can't force players to do what you want them to do, because it's inorganic. So you got to convince people to do, like, this is a very valuable skill in game development when you have arrogant or ego-driven superiors. You have to convince them that your ideas are their ideas. And,
I've heard that before. That is a skill.
Yeah, and that's the, you know, that's game design. You know, you did something happened?
No,
Chris.
Chris is here.
Hey, it's Chris. How's it going, Mike?
Second Chris.
What's up?
Hello, everyone.
We have two Chris's. What's up? So glad you could join. It's been a while.
Yeah.
You were Chris. You were just on Chris's show, right?
Yep.
Cool. Well, the Chris's meet once again. With the same Chris.
I'm here to confuse everyone.
Well, it's fine. You're here to help promote INFINITALE.
Yeah, I fell asleep, but after I woke up at like 6:30. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make it a time. I'm ready, and then I fell back to sleep. And then wake up till like 8 o'clock.
I saw you tweeted that. Yeah, I'm gonna be on the show today, and then it's like, where is he? It's cool. We're glad you're here.
Well, to go back to the players going off on their own, there was also a mechanic called Emmy of the Evening, and when experience points are rewarded, you actually get more points for cheesing it up or hamming it up. And when your character is created, you have kind of a prologue and a background and an impetus that's driving your character. So a lot of your personality traits actually have mechanics that are used when the player's AFK or something, when scenarios require players that aren't present to either perform something, or it's so-and-so doesn't like so-and-so. It's like, how do you know? Well, let's look in the personality matrices, and it's, oh, this guy is a stoic, and he comes off as an arrogant prick, to somebody who's more boisterous or gregarious or something. So as a result, you have these conflicting personality traits, and it's not a hard system for acting, but basically what it does is when you're creating your character, you define what is your character's, like, the lift, or was it the elevator pitch? Describe your character. And you would have like a primary trait, a secondary trait, and a tertiary trait. And you can play off of them however you want, but your primary one is the one that you're most noted for, and you can change it. I mean, all characters can have a change of heart, but as you play into that, you get more experience. And Han Solo being an even more debonair rogue who is a scoundrel, but he has a change of heart, and he gets more experience because he's now a savior. And but it's like, where does that go when the arc ends? Does he become a softie? Because I completely disavow the sequel trilogy. But
I think we all do. I really like the sound of you talking about the personality traits thing. Is that system you're talking about based off of any
yes,
any system that psychologists use? It sounds like something I know.
Yeah. So initially I tried Dr. Plutchik's wheel on the spectrum of emotions. And it was something that I'd studied a little bit in school when I was taking psychology. I mean, graduate with psychology. Yeah, that's a useful degree.
Psychology is fun.
Everything now. Oh my god.
I know. Okay.
I have a bachelor's degree.
Praise. We're like, oh yeah, I can pencil and ink, and I write my own comic. He's like, I do everything. I know psychology. I made a languages. I built the website.
Well,
I'm not jealous.
I hope I'm not
this
coming
fine.
off.
This is fine.
Yeah. Yes, I have a bachelor's degree in cerebral sodomy.
What?
Whoa! What?
What?
That's a useful skill.
Yeah.
I thought we all had that.
We got the secret handshake.
Oh gosh. Okay, don't do that on camera because I don't.
I need an adult.
No, so I originally tried Plutchik's wheel, and I found that it didn't work as well as I'd like mechanically, because when you've got this big list of mechanics all splayed out in your like ludology of your game system, and you're like, does this really work? Or players finding this extremely cumbersome? Is this an obstacle to get through to the fun? Because that's the most important part, is the fun. So any barrier between the player and the fun is something that needs to be cleaned away, And then I tried the Myers-Briggs tests, I'm INTJ or whatever, and that also didn't work very well, mainly because it's very, I don't want to say rigid, but it pigeonholes players into a very specific role. And part of growth as a character is you have that arc, as an adventure plays out and concludes, you want to have that metamorphosis. You want to have your character grow and mature and become something that they're not. And in fact, in the War of the Trees saga, the story, and again, I don't want to say that this is, I'm not preaching, I'm not saying this is the message that it's saying, but I've had players say that the story sounded like the loss of innocence of children becoming adults, or surviving abusive parents or something, because the way the story initially starts, everybody is these eternally youthful, never been sick, don't die of old age, beautiful, pampered royal people, and they've lived this life of privilege and luxury, and the gods walked among them, so they had these gigantic, colossal beings that they saw as like parental figures, and everything was fine. These gods protected them from the dangerous wilds. They were taught to be afraid of the outside world. Don't go out there. And truth be told, I mean, they aren't on the top of the food chain, so there is some legitimacy to that. But you start to learn when somebody is protecting you from everything and is dictating your life, you know, there's always drawbacks. And one of these drawbacks comes in the form of the lottery, which is something where, because this is a matriarchal society set up almost very similar to like a hive, where there's a queen and there's a king consort, but more or less the men are the disposable drones, and they're entered into the lottery, and the lottery leads to a harvest. And if you've ever seen like an old 70s film called Logan's Run, we all know what happens to Carousel when somebody turns 30 and they're told to die. And when you live forever, that's how you exit this world. And you know, you don't really think about it when you're not the one that's being chosen for Carousel, because, or in this case, the harvest, because it's, you know, it happens, you know. I mean, his time came. He lived to, you know, 3,000 years old. You know, I mean, come on, nobody's going to live forever. You know, you were able to live until the day you died, which is an amazing gift. So, you know, do with it whatever you want. But things start to change when these otherwise mostly infertile elves, they almost never reproduce. They're just like teenagers that are doing all sorts of teenager stuff, and they don't have much consequences. You know, they're protected by this omnipotent beings that, you know, keep them safe from everything. And the story opens where the queen, who's played by, I don't want to say her name, but the character Ashlyn, queen of the Tiergothen, or the land of the tree, she gives birth to a son, and she starts experiencing things that she's never experienced before, and that's getting sick and going into a coma and having delirium and all this stuff. And she finds out that her son has been drawn for the lottery, and suddenly that world of protection and innocence and all that comes crashing down around her. And it's like, what would you do as a parent? Do you say, sorry, kid, sucks to be you, I live in paradise, you know, small price to pay? Or do you say, this is my son, and I'll do whatever it takes to keep him alive?
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. Yeah. Shane O'Sullivan says, I'm getting Oisin and his journey to the, I'm sure I can't pronounce that. I'm sorry. Shane, yeah, he actually speaks the language. Okay. You read the comic, because I can't pronounce that.
Well, Tirnanog, the land of the undying, or the land of the young. It's basically the Celtic heaven. It's where the elves, the first people of Ireland and all that stuff go to. And it's kind of what we were drawing on. Like, Tyr means land of, so Tirnanog, land of, you know.
Tirnanog?
Yep.
Tirnanog?
Oh gosh, I reminded that was actually a Sentai series, the Knights of Tir-na-nog. That's I only recognize.
Oh God!
The land of the Fae.
It was those Celtic Power Rangers, right?
Derailment.
It's like that tattooed teenage fun. But anyways, so the world that this exists on is actually it's a historical element, because in the game later on, the game takes place much into the future, well after the events of the War of the Trees. We learned that there were actually two worlds. Pure crack. Nice. So the first world, Asperia, is the land of the Fae, and it's where we get all the magical stuff that we're accustomed to, all of the mythological creatures, the folklore, all that stuff. And that's where we follow the Alpha, or the elves, essentially. And the War of the Trees has events that don't exactly end well for the Alpha. And there is a second world, a mundane world called Munadea, which is much like our Dark Ages world, and that's where the game takes place. And the Alpha escape their doom and basically invade Munadea, and they find themselves kind of in a predicament where they are the outsiders in this foreign world that smells like it's rotting all the time. They're not used to it, but these men, the beings of this world are incredibly hostile, and they wield the gross, disgusting things like iron and silver, which the Elva have no liking for. Silver is actually poisonous for them. If you notice, all of the art, all of their metal is made out of orichalcum, or bronze. And that's something that I was reading about the Seelie and the Unseelie, all this stuff. But basically,
The man has done his research, everybody.
That was really cool.
And yeah, so it's a tragic story of, for everyone that sees a hero, there's also equal amount of people that see villains. And what we're seeing through the perspective of the Althar here, these elves, is that they're just trying to survive. They're trying to get the hell out of Dodge, and they're escaping. They're basically immigrants into this foreign world that does not want them, and they bring with them nuclear weapons, essentially, because the War of the Trees is also about the discovery of magic and the awakening of the spiritual elements of what we know as the Fae. The Fae folk. Why are they these elemental beings? Yeah. Oh yeah.
Damn knife ears.
Tirnanog is an elven nation in Shadowrun. Damn daisy eaters reclaimed a bunch of land. Tyr, that thing is another. I usually try to pronounce things in foreign languages, but I don't know how to do that correctly. So,
how do you pronounce it, Chris?
Somebody teach me.
I think that's Tangir or
Tangir
or Tengar.
Tengar.
Honestly, I'm taking a stab at it. I couldn't tell you. That's the problem with Gaelic is that.
Gaelic is hard.
Well, it kind of brutalizes the English language, or at least the Roman alphabet.
It can't be spelled with the Roman alphabet.
Well, I mean, it was originally an Ogham, or that Irish alphabet were the two, so when we start looking at Irish names, for example, it's like, roll the dice and you might be right. Because, like, for example, the main character in our story here, the woman that you see, the female elf, her name is Ashlyn, and it's spelled Aislinn.
Right, yeah, I've seen that name, and it's spelled like Aislinn.
Yeah, exactly.
It's Ashlyn, and I've seen a name, Saoirse is pronounced Saoirse.
Yeah, Saoirse.
It's like an actress named that. So yeah, it's very confusing. I love to learn how to pronounce it though.
I kind of was blessed. I had neighbors growing up that were, I believe they were from Limerick. And half the time you couldn't understand what they said.
That helps.
Yeah, there were times where I just kind of smile and nod. It's like after asking them the third time to repeat themselves. Like,
Oh, that's so great! Oh man.
Here in the mountains of West Virginia, you get what I would call mushmouth when it gets too hillbilly, I guess you'd say. It sounds like Joe Dirt, that guy off Joe Dirt.
Yeah, I get it. You like to see? Well, I'm not.
I mean, you get the same thing in the South. It's like I want to get the right there, and it's like you have to live here. I've lived in the South for a long time, so I finally understand it. But it's like, can you get that thing right over there? Is that gonna get it right over there? That's Georgia Southern speech. So I think. So desu ne.
Yeah. 日本語ができますか?
少し話せです.
Ah,
we're even talking.
Moon speak.
日本語どうじゃん?
お前はもう死んでる.
Wait, you know Japanese?
Yeah. I worked in Japan.
I'm also surprised she speaks Japanese.
You're also surprised? I don't speak Japanese. I'm learning. I speak very little. But anyways, I do. I love languages. So I'm currently learning Spanish and Japanese. So
very cool.
Yeah, I'm not a philologist. I haven't had the rich experience. I went to school for comics, but I have many passions as well, language.
I really hope I don't come off as like some nerdy, haughty, like.
Around here.
No. How does like knowing a lot of stuff and having so many skills come off wrong? Like, no, this is awesome, man.
Well,
it's so cool to see that you're choosing to do a comic with the skills you have and like bring your experience from games over to make this comic. I think I don't know, because all these skills they're all very adaptable to the comic medium, and yeah, man, it shows that you have that experience, and the project looks really cool, and obviously you know what you're talking about. So
I like
Yeah,
the
no,
hook
you're
idea.
not. Oh, you're just showing
know-it-all
us
nerd.
up. You're just showing us up. Yeah.
Well, there's a
man.
saying in Australia. When somebody who like a know-it-all, you call them a fig jam.
A fig jam.
Yeah, fig
I
jam.
need to learn more Australian slang. I
Yeah,
learned.
That's a new one.
There were a few in the only ones I know are from Mad Max, and they're all hilarious. Like or Mad Max, or like a couple of Australian YouTubers who talk about comics, and it's like the things they say. Oh my gosh.
well, fig jam actually it stands for "fuck I'm good, just ask me."
Okay.
Oh,
so
That's
yeah,
creative. That's pretty
Yeah.
great.
so I hope I'm not being like some nerd. Like I'm a big dork, I'll admit. I'm a huge nerd. But
Wait, but does that mean you're good? Don't talk to me, or does that mean I'm not good? Actually, ask me how I'm doing.
well, it's like if you've ever worked in a tech field and you had the IT person come to your desk and they roll their eyes and they're like, "Have you tried turning it off and turning it back on again?" And you're like,
totally
"Oh, yeah,
me. That's my job.
yeah." And you're just like, "Oh, move."
Yeah, that's me.
Oh, that's you. Oh, great.
An hour in, I'm finally gonna ask this: are you British or Irish?
Ich bin ein American.
Oh, for some reason I thought you were like British or something.
But you said
Well,
you live all over the place.
Yeah, I have my grandfather lived in England for a while or whatever, but no, it's an amalgamation of moving around. The Highlander saying, "Where are you from? You got a funny accent," and it's yeah, I've been lots of different places. It's kind of a bit of a curse because you pick up things and you don't know how to speak when you return to certain areas. So you
Right.
like when I was in California, I'd say gnarly a lot, or for sure.
Right. You have to. It's like your brain has to completely adjust when you're in a new location. It's like, oh no,
Yeah.
we don't understand this term.
Nick's
I
a
watched
bit
too
like
much
that.
Doctor
Nick also traveled a lot growing up.
I think we're all pretty international here. Well,
No.
Nick and AC are in Colombia.
Colombia.
Well, you moved overseas, so I don't know. I've always moved between Asia and the U.S., so it was like, oh, you have to use a new portion of your brain depending on where I am.
Yeah. So was it? Did you say it was Taiwan or?
Oh yeah, I'm from Taiwan, but
Nice.
but it's like I think I can. Not so much in the U.S. It's total tangent, but I don't notice like linguistically is that big of a deal. It's really easy to adapt, like speak in a way that everybody understands. But like when I'm speaking Chinese, I have to adapt. Like it's like, oh, I can't use this slang. I can't like it's Taiwanese people. We mix Taiwanese with like Mandarin Chinese, and our Mandarin Chinese, like if you speak really, really Taiwanese, then this like people have a hard time understanding you if you're in like Singapore or Hong Kong or the mainland. So I have to like adapt how I speak. So yeah. So anyways, I understand what you're talking about, and that's really cool.
Yeah. I don't know. One of these days, I'll if I move to like I don't know, the south or whatever, I'll start calling people Hoss.
Hoss?
That's what my dad called everybody Hoss. I
don't think I've met anyone who said that before.
So, yeah, Hoss.
Texan.
Oh, it's a Texas thing. Huh? I lived in Austin, but Austin is Austin. It's not really Texas. Yeah. I hated
Austin
it.
and then Texas.
I hated it, but anyways, I'm out of there. Yeah, Texas is cool.
It gives you like I feel like ever since I moved out of the country, I feel like I've gained perspective on just like the world at large and stuff. I think it's really cool that you can learn so much from different cultures, and I think it's a really nice benefit of having traveled around so much throughout your life.
Yeah, it's
I've
it
barely
definitely.
left West Virginia.
What's that? Sorry.
I've barely left West Virginia.
I mean, I know how it feels. It was only like a few years ago that I left the U.S. I'd only been in until then I had only been in Oregon and Georgia, pretty much, and that was about it. Hadn't really been anywhere.
You didn't
else.
leave the U.S. until you moved to Colombia?
That's right.
Oh. Wow.
You see how international Ariel
I'm
is.
so
Are
international.
you sure?
How is that possible?
Are you sure you're friends? How did you not know that about her?
We talk about comics. We're just nerdy
I see.
shit.
Yeah, I don't give a shit about her personal life. Okay.
I never grew up with travel money. I can't just like go on vacation somewhere. I don't know.
No, you like starve yourself so you spend all the money traveling somewhere. When you get there, you live in like the shittiest Airbnb, and it doesn't matter because you're in like Iceland.
I starved myself so I could go to art school in Georgia.
Yeah.
And then
Oh yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it.
Yep. You
Understandable.
can either eat this week or you can buy this overpriced squash.
Yo, no kidding though. Our school's like, especially the place we went to, it's ridiculous. Fucking criminal. Bring back apprenticeships. That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
Stupid. It's stupid. Yeah, but we're doing fine now. We don't need art school.
And yeah,
I hope my mother isn't listening.
I spent all that money on what?
An ungrateful child. So, anyways, back to your project. I wanted. Oh, right. Were you still? There's something you wanted to say?
I was just asking. Later on, if you'd like, I have some additional art I could show. If that's
cool.
Yes,
of course, yeah, and we definitely want to play the trailer. But also, I wanted to ask, is it like spoilery, or are you open to like telling us what the first book covers? Does it focus on anything? Like, is it? I know it's like an introduction to the world, but like a general idea what we'll get. Yeah.
So the main character opens with Queen Ashlyn. That's her in the painting there on the cover of the book.
Right.
And her king consort husband Kaolin, spelled Caolan. And basically, Ashlyn has given birth to her son, and is really sick, and she's going in and out of these fevered dreams, hallucinating, doing all sorts of weird stuff. And it's up to Kaolin to kind of foot the bill while she's indisposed, because when people become defective, the gods kind of make them disappear. So he's running cover for that. And the people won't respect an ailing queen if she's gone mad. So he basically does his duty, and she starts seeing these visions in her dreams. And it's funny because etymologically speaking, Ashlyn actually means in Gaelic the dreamer. So that was kind of a cool name that the player chose. So Ashlyn is getting these visions of things that are kind of odd, that don't match up to what she's been taught and everything she's known. And the title of the first book is called Second Genesis. And I don't want to give away too much, but the first few pages that you see on on this Indiegogo page talk about the origin myth of the Alpha people, and it might be just the first Genesis. There might be some revision going on. And basically, we are also in this book, we learn about kind of the role of how the royal families of Tirigothan, or the land of the tree, of the seven sovereignties, let me backtrack a bit. On the planet of Hesperia, or Esperia, there is this massive continent with 7 of sovereignties that are ruled by queens, and they don't really talk to each other. They don't really have much in exchange. Everything that they've ever needed, they just kind of keep in their own little protected microcosms. So there's not really that much in ways of communications until the gods will it, and the gods will introduce a family from one side, one sovereignty, to another, and that's how marriages occur. And Kaolin is actually from a different sovereignty, and he's brought into this new sovereignty where the queen is. And there's a lot of kind of left untold history. It's almost like, you live long enough, you forget about your youth or about things in general that have long since passed that are trivial. And that comes into play later on when they start realizing that without a custodian dictating everything, they have to start thinking for themselves, and they start questioning things like, how come we can only remember when we were such and such an age? What happened before that? Or why did our parents die? How did we get here?
Right. So it's about like losing innocence. I can see that theme.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's. Oh, sorry.
Oh no. I was just gonna say. It reminds me of. This is one of my favorite sci-fi books, The Giver.
Oh yeah. Everything's in black and white.
Well, yeah, with the whole people are designated to die by the powers that be, and it's also a story about waking up to the reality and seeing things in color and escaping that protection. So it's one of my favorite books. That's awesome. That this really reminds me of that, but in fantasy, of course.
Cool. Yeah, I loved The Giver.
Yes.
Yeah. So what was I? Sorry, I've ADD.
Oh, you're talking about when the elves start wondering, or they're not elves, but why their parents died and why they can only remember certain things from their past.
Yeah, and they start the catalyst for all of this is actually the birth of that son, that child that was doomed from the start to be pushed into the lottery, and it kind of starts things in motion that really can't be kind of stopped, and it basically kicks off the War of the Trees, where we have these elves that are now, we've been told that obedience is paramount, but it's like, why is obedience paramount? What happens if I rebel? And then it's like, oh, this is what happens, and doom occurs.
I see.
So
I like that.
Is Ashlyn, is she like the main character? Is her son the main character, or is it like a group kind of cast of main characters, or like an ensemble?
Yeah, it's definitely an ensemble cast because like the game was played for several years and it spans generations. So we'll see the characters change in appearance as they progress through the stories. Some of them don't make it. In fact, some of the surprises are characters you think that are going to. You get the Scream effect where you think that what's her face?
Don't spoil anything.
Well, no, I'm not saying it's a her. I'm just saying that characters that you think are going to make it don't.
Cool. Good. Yeah.
And,
that's fun. I like characters.
it's the it kind of shows the underpinnings of the game. And the deaths weren't just a nasty DM being haha, you die. It was there were certain things like, for example, magic in this world is not like Dungeons and Dragons at all. In fact, the whole kind of War of the Trees is about the discovery of magic, the power to wield the power of the gods, and it's like giving a child the button to the nukes. And it's an esoteric, scary art. It's not a technology. It's not like +3 toothbrush of plaque fighting. There's an
that would be nice though.
Yeah, I know. Fight the cavity creeps. But no, it's the way the magic system works is you run the risk of botching spells or malforming or malconstructing spell stanzas, and when things botch, they could go really, really, really wrong. And people can die from casting spells. So when you're doing so, you want to make sure you're in the optimal environment and so on. And in fact, when in the actual game, which takes place long after the events of the War of the Trees, a terrible event has occurred that was a result of the misuse of magic. And as a result, this order called the Order of Nemesis was founded. And it was where all members of the different factions or whatever that were the spellcasters or whatever got together and said, we if we screw up, we're like, this is our last world. We can't destroy this one too. Wink, wink. But they made magic more regulated, and it's scholastic, and the order exists outside of the mundane and the fey laws. It exists as this third faction. And when hedge magi or magi that start casting unregulated spells or doing things that are kind of breaking the rules of the covenants, they get hunted by the order. something called the Magi's March, where anybody that's reckless with magic, casting unsanctioned spells, using forbidden magic, so on and so forth, existing, doing things outside of the regulated parameters of the order, they're public enemy number one. And it's pretty scary when you see the Magi's March, because they don't screw around. If they let this go unchecked, this world could be destroyed too. And in the game, again, long after the events of the War of the Trees, the Alvar don't exist anymore. In its place, there was this event that occurred called the Schism. And if you're familiar with the Dark Crystal, you know what a schism is. It's where the Skeksis and the Ancients split apart. And that's how the different subraces of the elves in this world exist. We have the Seelie, the Unseelie, the Light Elves, the Dark Elves, the Aoshi, which are the Wild Elves, the people of the hills, and then the Azurai, the people of the oceans. And these are the different fragmentations of these elves. And there's an even scarier elven race called the Goblins. And there's no orcs in this world, so goblins are a tragic race of they're
goblins. What'd you say about goblins? Goblins. There are goblins, but there are no orcs. So you're fine, Dan. You're fine.
I could show you some art that.
Oh yes. Yes.
Yeah, if you want to see, I have some art from the game world to explain some of the races, if you'd like.
Yeah, show us more. Hold on. Let me refresh this page one more time, because you've got a few backers already. Let's see if you've got more. And thank you to everyone in chat who's backed this comic. You have 13 backers, so I think that's like 3 on this stream.
Yes, thank you very much.
Awesome. You guys are awesome. Come on, we need this project funded.
Can I suggest something? Sure. I see there is no bundle that maybe collects all the covers in the one tier, perk that you could buy.
So you're saying you want a bundle that contains the standard edition, the Michelle and the Genzo Man covers bundled together?
Like one of each, because I know some people would like that.
It's like whoever wants alternate covers is probably a collector that wants all of them.
Yeah, they'll probably want all of them for collecting purposes.
Very cool. Yeah, I mean, the perks are pretty. I love this about Indiegogo, is after the campaign is kicked off, you could just keep flitzing in perks. So I'll add that. In fact, the perk that you see at the top here, the standard edition with the trading cards, was actually suggested during one of the streams. So I added that. I'll add what you suggested as well, because I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah, I like that. Bundles are very good. Let's look at the perks real quick. I know you got art to show, but while I'm screen sharing now, okay, let's look through the perks real quick, and then let's look at art, and I'm gonna play that trailer, because I do want to see that trailer. So we have book and card bundle. Let's see. 50-page book and 9 collectible cards in one convenient bundle. What are on those cards?
So I have a deck of the cards right here. They're American poker sized, and they're made out of plastic instead of paper.
Nice.
And there was originally 8 of them, but I added in a 9th one, and I think you might really like the 9th one. So I'll go over them really quickly. The first card, I don't know if you can see this because of the shine of my ring light, but it's just your standard cover card. It's got the War of the Trees insignia and a brief blurb of the story.
Nice.
Put that one down for a bit. The second one is of Queen Ashlyn. It's got her name. And
that art was on the website, so yes. I would suggest putting these cards on the campaign page.
Ooh, yeah.
Instead of, because I saw it in the background of the website, and I see it really small in your perk thumbnails. I want to see this art on the main story of the campaign page.
Yeah, they look really pretty.
Yeah, it looks really pretty, and it's because I didn't know that there were cards that are offered with that, and a lot of people who back indie comics like cards.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the good thing about these is how we were talking about how Irish kind of brutalizes Roman alphabet. I have a pronunciation guide under each.
I'm smart.
That's a
Yes,
bonus.
thank you. Oh,
Yes.
Then the faction that they belong to,
God.
a brief
Nice.
bio of the character, and then the number of the card.
Sweet.
I love that.
Yeah,
So
but
that's
what are their attack points?
What are their stats?
Right, I was like hoping for stats,
but
but this is cool
How much mana does
too.
it cost to play Ashley, though?
I was hoping for a little character sheet I could plug with stats into D&D, but that's okay. This is cool. This is cool too.
Well, so the next one here is of Kalen here, and he's wielding his glaive. You can't really see it because of the glare, but
There you go. Yeah,
You can
yeah,
even
yeah,
see
yeah.
it when you
You
tilt
see
it
it.
back.
yeah. There
Yeah,
you go.
yeah.
You can see it pretty good like that.
actually, I think I
He
could.
just looks like 10 feet tall.
Let's see. Is that better?
That's
Yeah.
a lot more visible.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You know, if only your camera could also focus.
Woo!
It's
All right,
focusing perfectly on your awesome arcade machine.
Yeah, I was gonna
but
say
not
like
on your
since it says motion over in the video game, it probably focuses more on the video game than on the
Oh,
car.
Just pull it
man.
all the way back. Pull it like 3 feet back, and then we'll be able to see it in focus.
So this is. I apologize for the blurriness, but I'll show you the actual art when I share my screen. But it's the cards of Kalen. Again, pronunciation guide, faction logo, bio about them, and then the number. Another one of the primary cast, Darwin. He's one of the Elvar soldiers, and he traveled with Kalen to this new sovereignty. He's one of his childhood friends. He's a commoner of sorts, and he was artificially elevated into his royal soldier position. And I'd say he's a bit of an emo, but he's wielding the Clethau, which is the double-bladed elfin sword. And it's got the nice painted armor that's laminated wood and bronze. And
Fancy.
here's one of the only times you'll see this bio is Galinar here, who makes an appearance later on in the book. He's a chieftain of the Satyr or the Fawn tribes. Very, very old guy, and it's a bit off-putting because the elves aren't used to seeing these elderly people. And there's a funny line in there where the elves are talking to this guy and asking him, "Does it hurt?" He's like, "Does what hurt?" Like, that you're rotting. What does it feel like when you're rotting? So, yeah, and again on the back we've got his pronunciation. Notice the faction banner is a bit different, and then a brief blurb about him, and then we get into the cover card. So we have the standard card, and again a little bit of blurb, and then the can't focus on that, but we got the artists names listed there, the title of the book, Second Genesis, and again we've got Michelle's lovely cover here with Ashlyn and Kalen, and then on the back,
nice cover.
So on these cover ones, Chris, like what is all the, because on the other ones I get it that it's like the
The character backstory
the
and
backstory,
stuff.
but like for this was like what is like a summary of the book, or what is all the text on it?
let's see, this one talks about first war of the Trees Saga begins with the birth of a male child in the royal court of Tyr Ugothen. The sons of all Alvar are placed into a lottery on the day of the druids the day the druids name them. Every lunar cycle, 7 names are drawn. This is known as the harvest. These unfortunates are sacrificed to the gods. The immortal by age Alvar observe this as an unquestionable tradition that has spanned eons. The sacrifice are seen as heroes. They give their lives so that others may live in a paradise made for them by the gods. The males are presented before the sovereignty's patron god or gods, where they are ritualistically consumed. So
Okay, all right, so it's lore. Okay, cool.
That's nice.
Hey,
Nice.
Chris, like John is asking here if the cards can actually be pulled up in PDF during the campaign.
you mean
I'm not sure what that means.
Campaign.
I don't know,
You
like-
said that.
Oh, sorry,
You
just
said that.
I assumed as much that was what they meant. It's like, is that what they're asking, if like one can like get that as non-physical rewards, or is that something
Or are
else?
we just asking about looking at them right now?
Oh, maybe that's I guess that's how I interpret it.
Well, yeah. So these are the 8 cards that you get, but there's a bonus card, and you'll notice something here, if I compare it to, where is it? The figures. It's the bottom one. So we have
just a minute right now. Right, Chris said he's going to pull up the art on screen so you can get a clear look at the art in a second, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So what is this last one first?
So here's the 9th card, and I don't know if you can read that.
Let me full screen you again.
Player skill.
Player skill.
So
all right.
this is from the role-playing game, and it's like, okay, well, what is this? And it's the spoken written language of Slirith, the language of the dragons. And it has.
Let's be best friends.
It has a cipher that throughout the comic, this is a forgotten language. The elves call it Old Tilwith. The language of the elves is called Tilwith, so they see this as Old Tilwith, a forgotten language. It's kind of like the way we view Latin. And they throughout the story series, you'll see ancient ruins and statues, or even beings speaking in this foreign language, right there. And players or readers who possess the card can actually decipher it. And be sure to drink your Ovaltine. It will.
I was just going for that joke as well.
So yeah, the idea is that somebody who has this special card can kind of get more out of the story. If you don't have the card, it's totally fine. You're not missing anything crucial. But at the same time,
about to ask, yeah.
yeah. I mean, you don't want to punish somebody for not getting the special decoder ring. But at the same time, it does add a bit flavor when you start seeing how certain characters, when they translate it to people who don't speak it, how they might not honestly be saying the same things that the person who actually said it. Like the Goonies when Mouth was talking to Rosalita, and he was like, cocaína is. It was they subtitled what Mouth was saying, and it's not what the mother thought Mouth was saying. Sorry, dating myself.
No. Great. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, as everyone knows, I'm a language fan, and I think that's really cool. And I want that card now because I need to know, and I'm going to decipher all of these sections in the book. Yay!
When I was designing the language, I actually, and this is probably going to kill, but I ended up basing Slirith off of, instead of going with Gaelic stuff, I actually based it off of ancient Hebrew. So it's funny because in the game, the way that the magic systems work, the more scholastic magic, the magic that the order teaches, has a very Latin-based language to it. So when you're speaking what they call Androlari, which is the language of the first men essentially of the Adonai, it was very, very Latin-esque. And when you're casting spells, because that's what the scholar's speech is this ancient language, it was all in Latin or in Androlari. So unbeknownst to the players, they were actually speaking Latin when we were holding the games, because you would have a stanza where you would construct your spell. You would have different cards. You would have something called a cantrip, and you would have something called an element, and you would combine a sequence of cantrips and elements to make a spell. It's not like in Dungeons and Dragons where you're like, I'm going to cast Fireball, and magically Fireball comes out. It's okay. In turn 1, I'm going to use Creo, which is I create, and sequence 2, I'm going to use Ignis, which is fire, or so Creo Ignis, I create fire, and then Ex Corporum or Ex Corpus, I create fire from the body. Add Jacula, add Targetem, which is I hurl it at a target, and they define the target, and they can screw that up. And when they screw it up, they have to make a botch check, and it's hilarious.
Oh, that's so funny! You actually made them speak the language. Funny. Don't give Nick ideas. Nick is the GM for AC. Okay, don't. No. Now we're gonna have to actually say the spells.
Actually, Chris, the way that you're making the magic system work actually makes me think of how magic works in this. I think the game is called Outbound. I really like it because it is like a super micromanaging game, and magic can be but old magic is incredibly weak, but it relies on you kind of understanding these sequences and these patterns so that you actually like can combine the runes and combine them like in different ways, patterns and like orientations to actually make these multi-purpose things, from like basic things like just like being able to create a single spark to, you know, setting things on fire. And like even that, the most basic things take time, and you have to do it in game while somebody's just running at you screaming bloody murder. And it looks really cool. I really like how micromanagey the magic is, because like you know as a from a game designing perspective, like I can having come from like Pathfinder, it is really hard for me to imagine players that actually put the effort into learning that much about how to wield magic, because just like magic by itself is so challenging in these role-playing games. So figuring out like combining that with the language and then these sequencing patterns and puzzles to be able to make the spell sounds really cool, but it's not. I would be really afraid of like suggesting that.
I probably did a terrible job describing all of it, because it sounds incredibly cumbersome, and it's not, because you have icons that represent the different cantrips and elements. And when you have like a spell recipe, essentially, like when you're getting a spell book or a scroll or something, the sequence is listed out for you. So you're going through your cards and you're like, oh, okay, that one.
Like what I'm saying, Chris, is that remember, just magic without sequencing is challenging for a lot of players.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It sounds awesome for people that.
I'm not saying this is a negative. I really like this idea, and I've seen it in this other game, and I want to play that game. But I'm just saying, like, as a DM, like I find it really daunting to consider this kinds of mechanics, because they seem so challenging. But like, it's the kind of stuff that I would do myself, because like when I get to play, I'm like, yeah, okay, so this is that spell. Let me look for like weird languages and sequencing so that I can actually say that what the spell does and like make the incantation, even though it doesn't matter at all. Nobody's gonna pay attention to it. This is just my own fun.
Imagine if Pathfinder was combined with this, and like every time we cast a spell, we had a deck of cards, and we had to like make sure we put out the right sequence of.
With our group, I feel like there would be more mishaps than actual spells being slain.
It feels so like that's really immersive though, because magic is supposed to be this thing that's hard to learn, and playing a spellcaster in like regular D&D, it's harder than playing like a barbarian, but still, it's like you don't really feel like this is a wizard that has been studying for 20 years, and implementing a system like that makes it feel more like that. And if you really love playing these games, that system is not a barrier, having the sequencing, but you just need like the right kind of person who's willing to do that.
You can use foci, so you could use like the crystal ball or whatever, and you can actually or go into a laboratory, and laboratories have wards around them so that they can protect you from botches. So you can actually pre-construct your spells and memorize them essentially, and utilize them in foci, and call them out of the foci in battle. So you don't have to to recite and to perform the rituals in battle. It's possible. Like somebody put a comment there. It's like, yeah, by about turn 3, the guy with the pointy stick's going to end this guy. And that happens a lot with the unprepared magus, is that they need to rely on their grogs or their mage shields, somebody that's going to keep them protected. And if you have a very well prepared magus, they're incredibly terrifying. And the funny part is as cocky as they are with I could turn you inside out with a mere thought. It's okay, well, let's see what that intelligence check is, and if they mess up, roll on the botch. Oh, look at that. He just turned himself inside out,
Blingo's vengeful ghost said, where can I get this game?
Yeah, I was about to bring that up. So when is the game coming out?
Well, what we're hoping to do is get the comic book series out, all 10 books, fingers crossed, knock on wood, to introduce players to this world, to this universe, and get them jazzed about the lore and get them excited about actually being in the game world. And then from there, we'll see if there's enough interest to start production on the game itself. The rules are already there. Everything's already written out. It just needs an editor, and I'm holding off on contacting one of my artist modeler friends that I worked with in the industry, who's going to help me with STL files, where we'll actually have miniatures.
Oh, cool.
So
Cool.
Yeah.
I think if you, I might have to ask you for that contact, because I think we have people who want to get miniatures made.
We do. She does Pathfinder streams on Sunday, and I want to do 3D miniatures of all the.
I mean, I don't get the point of doing miniatures for our game because we play on Roll20. But it would. I mean, I want to get miniatures made for my comic, is what I'm saying.
My spot is just like 40. I know that we play online. I always am hoping I can change that. Even while we keep playing like this, I keep making more miniatures, more monsters and characters on physical media because I like it better.
All of this shelf behind us is a lot of things that Nick has bought, a lot of stuff that he's created. He loves toys and minis, and he makes a lot of them himself.
Yeah. I'm honestly hoping that when once I get the new computer and stuff, I can use my cash to actually buy a good camera and microphone to hopefully incentivize live play.
We need to get a new microphone. I'm sorry, everybody.
You sound fine, actually. Boom Dad killing it. He's really fast,
awesome.
by the way. Did you know Dan's fast? He's a really fast artist.
You should draw that right on screen.
If I say it, then you can't rub it in, Chimera.
That is
there
awesome.
You go. Yeah, that's great.
There's some cheesecake for you.
Yeah.
Back at friend. Back at friend. I'm sorry I muted your mic, Dan. There was a lot of background noise, but you can unmute yourself anytime. I'm not trying to gatekeep you.
He's gonna hire Dan to replace herself on FEMA.
I'm very sorry.
I apologize. I had a lot of stuff going on back here.
It's fine. I just
embarrassing.
No. That looks amazing.
Hell yeah.
I'm gonna head out. I gotta go to work.
Oh gosh! Right. Well, it was nice to have you join again.
Yeah. I apologize if I didn't say much. I didn't want to talk over anybody.
It was your presence
most people
was all
besides
that mattered.
Irene and just to say a word in. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm here to talk over everyone, but I appreciate your presence.
I'm glad I got to pop in. You are all some of my favorite folks, and hopefully I get to play some more tabletop soon.
Hell yeah.
Mushroom Man.
Yeah,
I'm Jones and pretty fierce.
Right, yeah. So Chris is part of our Pathfinder streams. We might have to push the session back, but
no.
I'm sorry.
Done.
Oh no!
What have I done? I guess we could try to play this week.
Whoa!
Damn!
What happened?
We were looking for people who would.
Got angry.
We were looking
That's
for
what
people who
happens.
would be invested. I wasn't expecting this level of obsession.
Hey,
Like once
yeah.
every 3 weeks invested, but instead we got somebody more than once every 3 weeks invested.
It's good to know.
Don't F with the fungus, man.
Yeah. So
You know-
I think we'll try to play this Sunday. I'm not sure that we're all really busy. I got an auction on Saturday, so it's like, oh my god, it's so much work for a weekend. But anyways.
By the way, since we keep touching on the role playing game, and I was just really interested with how Chris was describing the magic system and stuff, because I know that I mostly was talking about like how that might be like a big deterrent on what could be considered to like be instated. The other thing that I was thinking about is like the positive is like I personally have a really hard time balancing like the accessibility of like game material. Because like especially like new players, they all like that don't know the level of investment that it requires, or like the amount of time and effort, come in just like, oh, I want to play a magus, I want to play a druid, and then like they do that, they hate it, all sessions stop to a crawl because they're figuring out how to do things. So it's like having something like that where like the spells have the homework on them. It's like that can also be like a deterrent for respect of the magic system that they have to actually. If you want to play the smart character that does this, get the intelligence score yourself to handle it.
Well, and again, I apologize. I may have butchered how I was, explaining it. It's not all introduced to a player all at once. It's something that you're gradually like weaned into. And when you have skill cards and ability cards, and you're leveling up your skills, and they're unlocking abilities. And when you're, I love that pic. That looks awesome. When you're basically like filtering in or trickling in more cantrips or more elements. In fact, most Magi players tend to linger around a single element. So you'll have a pyromancer or a lusomancer or a phytomancer or necromancer or something, somamancer. One of the elements, and they like to specialize in that, and they're totally able to. And there really isn't as much because again, this was designed by like a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old, and the kids that were playing, a lot of them were illiterate because they were kids. Like we had a 10-year-old who jumped in, and he was able to grok a lot of it because a lot of it is handled in iconography. Part of like UI. There's this saying in UX or UI. That if UI is like a joke, if you have to explain it, it probably sucks. So a lot of the information that's presented is in very digestible chunks. You're not the way
I get it. Like, and I know you've been talking about how like it has been accessible when you had a group that actually went through these whole adventures. I'm assuming that it is digestible and usable. What I'm saying is that. It is a good way to be able to explain these things in tangible ways, because I like that it makes magic, tangible for someone that is just moving around a little piece of plastic on top of a paper mat. But at the same time, it's like when you make the complication of it tangible and you see what it requires to cast a spell, it also helps you to preemptively understand the complications of it. Because, like, for example, Alex, when you saw that I was talking about this, just like, yes, Nick, we steer new players to basic class. Like, yes, they don't always listen.
That's right. I started playing Pathfinder, my first tabletop RPG. I started playing Pathfinder with a wizard.
The DM,
I was dedicated.
The DM and every player and every person that she talked to kept trying to deter her, but Ariel was determined she wanted to be a wizard on her first go.
I did it.
Nice.
Yes. So, yeah, it's like
the struggle. The struggle is worth it.
But that's also that response. The fact that like everybody that she ever talked to, the DM, the players, everybody.
I asked them for advice.
Yeah,
what's your advice? Like,
don't.
How do I play wizard well? And they say don't.
Yeah, like we were even at a tabletop convention, and and she was like, oh, this is the perfect place. We're in this forum. So I was like, how do I play a wizard? It's my first time. Cool, don't.
Oh, that's so great.
Like, I do appreciate though that there's like. Because like someone that is determined enough will do it, and if they have a permissive DM that wants to promote their creativity and interest, like that's great. Because you're not gonna go like, oh, I wanted to play with. No, here's a barbarian. Oh, okay. So like that sucks because then you're not having fun really. You're being forced to put on like baby proof yourself, which feels condescending. But like having something around you that like constantly warns you. This is hard. You really should not do it without the DM telling you. I feel like it's really helpful because it creates that like both a level of immersion and an understanding of the game without even touching it.
Well, it's funny because as complex as the magic system is, there's also Kido, which is the unarmed martial arts of the empire in the east, the empire of Great Fusang. And Kido uses ki, which is your mana, essentially, and it has I would say it's not a complex system, but it's not Dungeons and Dragons. It's not.
It's like I feel like you're trying to say, man, if you think that magic's complicated, let me talk about my martial arts. Wait, but my martial arts are also not complicated. Just so you know, they're more complicated, but they're good in all ways.
Well, no,
He's like, don't be scared of my game, please.
Well,
but
no,
also, it's very scary.
well, that's the thing is, like, when you're making a system, and again, I'm probably butchering my explanations. You don't want to have that intimidating barrier to entry. You don't want players to be afraid. I don't know how to do this. I'm done. Like, you're doing this as an entertainment outlet, so you don't want to be made to feel stupid. You don't want to be made to be intimidated, and you definitely don't want to be in a scenario where you learn by death. You know, those are three very, like, those are three no-nos in game design. And you know, I worked on MMOs, and I know, like, I've had senior designers tell me you can't create a failure scenario or a fail state for this encounter, and it's like, what? You know, and it's like, oh, well, this is why, and it's, you know, you can like prolong the progress of it, but outright failing it and saying nope, you're done in an MMO is just, it's a death sentence for your encounters. You know, you barricade them away from your content.
Yeah.
Just curious, what companies did you work for?
Sadly, every studio that I've worked, actually, Ubisoft is the only one that's still around. I worked for.
It's on here, right?
Yeah.
There you go. Some of them.
Yeah.
Firefall. Oh, these are the games you worked on.
Yeah, Firefall went offline. It was if you look at Overwatch, you'll notice a lot of similarities. Firefall went offline about 2016, I think. I'm not entirely sure when Defiance, the TV show / MMO shooter, went offline, but I'm fairly certain it did. And then Assassin's Creed Memories game. That one was fun, talking with the narrative team, building up stories about historical things, because I'm nerding out on it. On that. But my favorite one, oddly enough, was one that never got released. It was an indie game founded by this genius of a guy. And I don't use the term genius lightly. Like, this guy was a prodigy. He was a musician. He was a programmer, graphic engineer. And he had these friends that came with him from this other company, these artist brothers, and they created something called Project Offset. And I jumped on that team as narrative designer and UI or UX designer. And we ended up losing our funding. Namco basically they were our publisher, pulled the plug about a year into development. So Offset was like in limbo, and then Intel ended up buying them up and then burying the project. And Offset was amazing.
That sucks, man. Game design.
With Namco as well, with the game company I used to work for.
So why'd they
They
pull
would
the
be
plug?
awful.
Oh, were you on like Mage Knight or?
No, this is back in like 2000. They hired our company to make a PlayStation. I think it was PlayStation 2 or 1. I can't remember which. Like a AAA title for them.
Mm-hmm.
And we were working on it, and we got it all the way down to the end. And we needed like another week or something like that to fine tune some like leveling or something. And they had some guys that they sent over from Japan, and they had them in our office. And one of the nights while we were there and we had very few people, they tried to get the guy to take all of our servers and the computer units and remove them from the office and steal them from the company, because they wanted to like cut us off or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
the game
Man!
so
Yeah, they're awful.
so the game that got the plug pulled, did you guys go over budget or something? What was the reason?
They just there was like, we were working on. It's hard to remember exactly what the whole thing was. I just remembered that there was a situation that they were like playtesting the game, and there was certain functionality that they wanted out of it that wasn't happening or something like that fast enough for them. So at some point they decided that they were just going to pull the plug and take all the assets and then like use some clause not to pay us. But the only way to stop it was to make sure we held on to the assets somehow or something like that. And so they were trying to like take the assets from the office so that we didn't have them, so that they could claim that like well, the whole thing was made in our facilities, so we own all this.
That's
And so,
terrible,
like,
man.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
it's like-
Not.
They tried to turn us into work for hire, like within their company, not they came to us to develop it outside them.
Right.
It was something weird like that, and I was just like, oh my god.
Jesus Christ.
But we
Some
ended up
fuckery.
suing and winning, and then they had to give us like a percentage of the profits, and we lived off that for a bit longer.
Oh man, these horror stories.
Yeah,
Goes
yeah.
in there.
That industry is just full of, you know, it what it does is it chews up naive 20-somethings.
Yeah.
It's just outdated 30, 40. It's like a black box machine. They just, yay, I want to make video games. Oh, it's freaking industry sucks.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you could feel it. It's like you go into the industry. It's all like, it's nothing but like naive, like fresh out of college kids, and those are the people that are like staying past quitting time and working late. They're like, I'm so enthusiastic. It's like all the older people that didn't quit when they hit 30 are the ones that are like, you know, dude, this game isn't gonna get done anyways. Just like, I don't know, shop while you're at work or whatever, look at porn, like laughing at the younger kids that are actually working on stuff.
I managed to avoid that because I thought about doing it when I was like 20 or 21 when I was learning programming, and someone talked me out of it. So that was
yeah.
They spared you. They saved you, man.
It's
As
rough.
gnarly as it was, I enjoyed it for the 10 years that I did it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like it's weird. It was like an abusive relationship for me. There were like some amazing highs. Like, I mean, come on. I mean, you got to talk to like Hollywood talent. You know, you got to rub elbows with, you know. One of my favorite moments was when we were working on Defiance, and what's his name? Oh God, I can't remember he's gonna kill me now. The actor in our Graham, I can't remember his name. He played a werewolf in True Blood. He's
no idea.
I know exactly who you're talking about. He's a writer. He created Underworld. Technically, he co-created it.
Evan something.
Something Grievous.
Yeah.
The actor, he actually we ended up making a character model of his likeness, and we got the actor to play multiplayer against other players that were playing Defiance, and we were filming it, and they're like, hey, that looks just like the guy, and he's like, that's because it is, and he's on the mic, and he's all geeking out, and he's just like wrecking face, like the guy was a gamer, he knew his shit. And it was, you know, he came out afterwards after we did the multiplayer thing where he was just wrecking face with people, and he's all shaking everyone's hands and stuff. And he was like, you go on the promotional circuit, and he would just geek out about games. It's like, oh yeah, I'm a Halo guy, and it's like, whoa, we got a gamer in the house.
Was he the werewolf in Underworld?
Yes, Kevin. I think it's like Kevin
Grievous. Yeah.
Grievous. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a big indie comic guy too. He writes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Creates indie comics. Yeah.
Sweet.
He's a relatively nice guy.
It's nice to see people in Hollywood who actually are about the art, you know, gamers and the storytellers and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think I don't know. Video games. It's one of those high risk, high reward jobs. Like, because the money is good, but it usually doesn't last. Like, things go downhill a lot. But when you're successful, when you find a good company, you can be really, really good.
Yeah.
Not that I worked in it. I kind of dipped in and out of it and did animation, and I quit because I want to do comics. But yeah, I did my internship at CCP Games, and I worked on World of Darkness, which never came out. So it's just an internship, but it's like just that one experience. And I also did like I worked for Zynga, and I did Farmville as well. So
did you? You were in animation, right? You were in animation at CCP Games, right?
No, I was in concept art.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I know somebody who was also from SCAD who was in animation at the same time as me.
One of my former coworkers, a guy named Dave, he was an animator that went over to CCP Games.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
they were really. I mean, they're still around. I love working for them. It's just really unfortunate. It wasn't their fault. World of Darkness ran into so many weird things.
Yeah. Man, do you want me to show the art or? Does that do?
Yeah. You have more art. We got the art. We got the trailer, but I want more. I think.
Right? Did we take a look at the card close up yet?
Yeah.
No. Chris said that he was gonna also show the art of that once we actually
People are retweeting the links. So.
And if you're enjoying the show, everyone in chat, please hit like. Thumbs up. And the link for this campaign is in the description. Let me post it in the chat real quick as well. But links for the website for INFINITALE CHRONICLES. I did it. I did it. Never again. And also the Indiegogo campaign are in the description. So back now and subscribe if you haven't and hit like. Yeah. Were you going to share the card art?
Sure.
Yeah.
Do I just hit share here or?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Share screen.
You hit share. I'll pop it on my end, so I'll pull you up.
All right. Are we seeing the website? All right. Okay. Cool.
Cool.
So I guess for start. So just another thing with the cards. I'm not sure if. Let's see. Here we are. Just a little rundown of the cards.
You might want to full screen
Yeah, can you full
Chris.
screen it?
Yeah, I for some reason it's hold on, maybe if I.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Oh, it was on
there
the.
you go.
Nice.
Oh, okay. He's cute.
I would gush about how absolutely professional this art and the video is, but I already know it's gonna be. So there's just no point in saying it. Everything here is like polished as shit. So how are you not at like 20K? It's unbelievable. I think what's the other? I think there was someone else had another game campaign on Indiegogo. It looks so polished, so good, and it didn't do well. It's like it's really sad, but come on, we're not gonna let that happen for this project.
Well, you can't always guarantee that the amount of work into it that will actually attract people. It's just sometimes it's just like the luck of like the right people saw it.
Yeah, it's really about getting it in front of the right eyes. So
polished. You even got your own animated logo and everything. That's this is gorgeous.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, I got a background in After Effects, so I like playing around in that.
Oh, you made that yourself?
Cool.
Yes.
Oh,
I made the trailer too. So.
Very nice.
After
Effects is magic.
So here's our cards, and as you can see, there's planned for more. I actually have these cards completed. I just don't want to give them away.
Are those stretch goals to unlock the cards?
Yeah, the stretch goals. I actually listed out the entire roadmap of the project.
Right.
It sounds extremely like ambitious, but the idea is to at least give comfort to our the backers with that understanding that the full thing is mapped out. It's not something that's ad hoc. I'm not making stuff up as I go along. It's already set. So there is that definitive conclusion or something where it's all planned out, and I'm not going to have any surprises where like George R.R. Martin and just not finish a book or something.
Yeah, I think people here are also very happy to hear that.
Some shade in your friend.
Oh yeah, you can shade him on my channel all day. Very.
It's never getting done.
First book.
Listen, I'm the biggest fan of the Saga of Ice and Fire books, and it was such a letdown.
Damn, Batman's got the flashlight. He's got so much shade.
Nice.
So more at him.
Some more of the concept is closer to the characters, like Ashlyn, pregnant variation, whatever. This was work done by Z-Edge or Zach, the Australian artist, that helped me define the kind of the overall aesthetic for the characters in the world. And we have some of the illustrations for some of the weapons and a height comparison, some of the weird stones or the various types of adornments that they have in their jewelry. And again, nothing is iron or steel or silver.
Yeah.
So, and then
bronze and copper.
Something from the game where we got some of the mechanics here, very simplified. The different elfin weapons. We have the Wairin here, which is the bladed or the small blades. It's almost like a tonfa style knife. The Clethau, which is the double sword, and then the Gleif, which is the spear or the Alpha lance.
How long have you been working on this?
Since 1991.
Okay, I think you mentioned it, but like this current, is this all, this art is from 1991, or I mean like the current package, the game package that you're showing right now, not just like the lore and the stories?
Well, the some of the art that I'll be showing in a bit is, I think I started in earnest back in 2014, getting the updated art. But like it's a shame because when I moved out to California, the apartment that I was living in flooded.
Oh no!
It destroyed my book of drawings. I was the nerd in high school that had these 3-ring binders full of like all the different character illustrations. It was all physical media. There was no digital, and yeah, the apartment just flooded.
Why is that such a common story for artists?
I know, right?
They had more work for this book or this project, but their house flooded.
Yeah, I've heard that like at least 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, it's been that with the variation of occasionally somebody's house also burning.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah, I've had that happen to a friend too.
Don't jinx us, honey.
No, knock on wood, no!
Knock on wood.
That's the cover I backed, friend.
Awesome. Yeah, this is Gonzalo or Genzo Man's.
Yeah, I was gonna say I recognize that how he drew the female elf. I kept thinking, it's like, is that Genzo?
Oh man!
Oh, that's so cool.
I am so used to him having the pretty girl up on the foreground and this dragon kind of occupies so much space. Like, is that Genzo Man or is that somebody else? Because like he would have that girl just go over the dragon.
I think this is my favorite cover. I'm gonna get this one. I like a darker mood, you know.
It's
really
got more
nice
action.
Yeah. But yeah, so you have like, I did see that you did have a bundle. I missed it the first time looking at it, but you have 3 covers, and then you have a bundle that's like 5 books with a couple of posters, right?
Yeah, well, it's actually 1 poster.
Okay.
It comes shipped in one of these, so it won't crinkle or anything.
Cool.
And it's a 19-inch by 27-inch poster, so it's pretty big, and it's double-sided. So you have on one side of the poster you get this guy, and on the other side of the poster you get Michelle's work. So if you get bored of one, you can just flip it over.
Nice. Are these available as add-ons?
Yes, the poster is available as an add-on.
Cool.
And you can also, choose one of the variant covers if you'd like as a perk. So,
I think Blingo's Vengeful Ghost was asking a while back. Are the cards add-ons or available as add-ons?
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I made the cards as a bundle so that you don't have to use it as an add-on. But also, if you order one of the other perks, there's an add-on perk for the cards.
Okay.
So you can choose a poster and the cards, or either or whatever.
That's really nice. Yeah, because a lot of campaigns, they limit, like, you have to get a more expensive tier. It's like, well, sometimes I'm broke. But I want the poster and I want those cards. So, hell yeah. Is that image in the books?
So
that makes a nice poster.
This is another painting by Michelle. One thing that you'll notice is all of this artwork has the name of the artist up front, because another thing that really infuriated me about the gaming industry is their insistence on not crediting artists. We don't allow artists to sign their work. The fuck you don't. I commissioned out these artists So I have enough respect for them to at least be able to say, yes, I did this. Put it in your portfolio, show it off all you can. Hell, you might be helping out my project by just adding at the bottom, part of INFINITALE Chronicles, Chris Fisk, whatever. So I am a strong proponent of crediting artists at all times, because I think that benefits everybody involved. And I know they're like, oh, well, then the artists will get cocky and they don't have to work for us anymore. And it's like, no, they're loyal. Like,
yeah, treat artists worse.
What the shit? Oh, if I treat an employee with respect, then they will leave. What the shit is that attitude?
Exactly.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. Blingos Venturigos ask, I meant the other covers. I think he means, are the variant covers available as add-ons?
Well, they're their own perks. So currently, you buy a perk for, like, if you wanted the Genzo Man cover, that's a perk. If you wanted the Michelle cover, that's a perk. And I think Sugar Chris had actually said, why not make a bundle where you contain all three? So you can get a standard edition, the Michelle and the Genzo Man, all bundled into one.
That would be nice, yeah. I was wondering if you could get like the Genzo Man, but add the Hefner cover as a add-on. But I mean, all three is fine as well. But
cool. Well, this isn't Kaylin. If the male that was featured in the other art.
No, Kaylin has like the red hair, right? It's big red hair.
Yeah, but as you notice, he's got these strange tattoos on his face.
Yeah,
and, he definitely looks like he could be related. And he's got this nice crystalline staff. And what the hell happened to his hand? What is this? That is one badass looking gauntlet. And it's let's just say that this alludes to something in the future.
All right.
Vortex. This was originally designed for the game. This was originally the cover for the Legends and Lore section of the book that Michelle had did for me several years ago. And we ended up, well, it is part of the War of the Trees Saga. So it's included, it'll be in one of the other books later on. Let's see, I'll move over to the next one here. This one is done by Canadian artist Tita Kiatsu.
Ooh, I like that.
That's gorgeous.
This is the post-schism of the elves. There are no longer Elva. There are now Seelie, Unseelie, Azrai, and Alshi elves. And these are the Seelie elves who have retreated to the Shrouded Isles. And this is their religious leader, the Archdruidess. And she is wielding a certain staff that you might have already seen somewhere else. She is their spiritual leader. And as you can see, there's a big-ass harpy eagle-style animal behind her. And she has her supplicants here prostrating themselves out before her. Her own personal god.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah, I love Tita's work. Yeah. And you can see the War of the Trees insignia here. That's the Tree of Ages, or the Darak, which is Irish for oak. Here's another Tita pick. This was, unfortunately, I accidentally put in the one with some of the cover art that I had put in for the combat rules section. Here we have the Unseelie, the Dark Elves that have, since the elves are these elemental beings, you'll notice that they're all barefooted, and there's a reason for that. They have to be in touch with their element or nature, and they don't like being out of it. So most elves will stay away from the deserts. It's impractical to be barefoot, but at the same time, the elves gain their kind of their powers from it. So you'll see them mainly with barefoot. And it's a very uncomfortable thing to be forced to be walking on hard stone and the burning sands of a desert or something, because there's no life there. And the Unseelie have attuned themselves to the frost and tundras, and they are also called the Frost Elves or the Ice Elves, and they are basically taken all of the aristocracy and the political intrigue elements of the Elvar and have embodied that. So they're a bit more of a caste system, very rigid and full of intrigue and backstabbing and court politics, which is not something the other elves tend to favor, especially the Aoshi or the wild elves, who are more like animalistic. But here we see a dwarf, one of the wee folk, on obviously this is Monadea, the world, the mundane world, facing in his last stand against the overwhelming forces of these dark elves, or as fans of the dwarfs would say, there's only one dwarf in all of those elves. It's not fair to the elves. So, but that was the combat book, and then here's one that I had commissioned a long time ago. This was done by another artist, Owang Jing, who this is replicating the children's room of the Pelham Public Library where this game was created and tested.
Oh, that's cool.
And these are all of the characters from the players. This is their character representation.
Oh, that's cute.
That's cute.
So as you can see, the elves look quite different. We have this weird animal-like character, this kind of sly-looking woman with a dagger.
All these other species still in the world?
They're not on the world of Asperia, or some of them aren't. Okay. But Monadea brings its own kind of people and denizens, essentially. Here are some of the class cards. These are older cards. They've actually have since been redesigned. But as we can see, the Magus for the these are just the spellcaster archetype. We see the Magus is very scholastic with this book, kind of elderly, but existing within libraries and schools and an academic environment. Then we have the priest class, which is he's actually more of a bookmaker, and the priests they do have access to magic, but they also have kind of boons they can gain from their deity. The particular religion we see displayed as this priest is called the Avastani, or the Avastan religion, which is one of the oldest religions on Monadea, and it has an obsession of balance. So everything is dark and light, or opposite. So we see silver and gold, and white and dark. You'll see that throughout a lot of their clothing and a lot of their accoutrements. Everything is always an even number, so that there's balance with everything. There's an obsession with that. Everything is a dichotomy. And then the Druidess here. The Druids are the members of a religion that came from the Elven or the Elva people, where I can't really get into too much of it, but
yeah, don't spoil too much.
well, as you can see, she's wielding a tulpa of an owl. Druids are in tuned with kind of the elements more so than some of the other classes, where they're able to still pull upon the same magics that the Magus pulls upon, but due to their faith, they're actually able to access non-sanctioned spells. So the religion is in constant conflict with the order, because their magic is believed to have come from a certain supreme deity that is revealed in the War of the Trees. That magic itself is almost a gift from this deity. And here we have the shaman, or the peller, or whatever other ethnic term each kind of people give to this class. It's considered a low magic because it doesn't actually cast spells. The shaman is more focused on alchemy, herbalism, toxicology, and enchanting. And oddly enough, we've had shaman players that were more powerful spellcasters, so to speak, than the magi. And because they're more prop dependent, the shaman can build an arsenal of magical items and arms and armor that the other kind of classes don't really have as much privy to, or at least from a construction point. So they can become extremely dangerous or extremely powerful, depending on your perspective of it. And then finally, the warden class, which is kind of a fey class, and they're kind of like a fighter mage. They're the jack of all trades, master of nothing.
The art makes me think of like a Magus Ranger.
Yeah.
And you said warden, but fey. So I was like, okay, fey Magus Ranger sounds great. That's my shit.
Yeah. Well, they're the sentinels, the barrier between the world of the Fae, the forests of the Fae, or the Feylands, and the world of men. So when there are any interlopers, they meet their untimely demise from these guys hiding in trees. They use their magics to stay invisible. they actually have something called the elf shot, where they'll make their arrows invisible. And that's a pretty scary prospect when you're walking through the woods and suddenly you flicker through, you flicker through the leaves and there's a hole in your chest.
Not nice. Not nice.
Yeah. The elves and men do not like each other.
Age-old tradition.
Yeah. Well,
good old-fashioned fantasy racism.
Well, they are the invaders. The elves,
right.
This isn't their land. So here's the schism that I was talking about, where we have the Seelie, the Unseelie, the Aishi, the Azrai.
And the goblins in your world are a type of elves that split off.
Yep. And oddly enough, on the mundane side, we also have ethnic groups as well. We have the Men of the Kingdom, which is your traditional Anglo-European style, very, very Norse Scandinavian. We have the Alkani, the barbarians, who are Celtic and Native American fused. It's interesting how much similarities there are between the Picts and the Native American tribes of North America. And then we have my favorite ethnic group here, the Chapanish, or the Freemen. They once belonged to a great empire, the Dindori Empire, and it was obliterated by these slave armies called the Amluks. And the Amluk uprising obliterated them and forced a democracy onto them. And as a result, the empire was split up into several disparate city-states. And they laud themselves as the free men and democracy and this and that. But in all actuality, there's also a seedy underbelly of organized crime and bribery and all sorts of corruption. So it's fun.
Listen, I was looking for fantasy, not real life. I need you to calm down.
Yeah. then there's the Men of the Empire. The Empire of Great Fusang in the east is a huge collection of the five kingdoms of the Far East, where it's a fusion of like Korean and Japanese and even early Chinese kind of aesthetic. And they're very isolationist, and they view outsiders as barbarians. And,
that's accurate.
Yeah,
Thank you.
They actually one of their biggest claims is they have the largest library in the entire world, and they possess all these books, and only people of Sanghi's background, like none of the gaijin or the outsiders can actually access these books or go into the library. It's forbidden. But all citizens of the empire are permitted to literacy, which is almost unheard of in the kingdom. A lot of people are illiterate functionally, but in the empire, they pride themselves on how much smarter they are than everyone else. They're better educated. they're just superior people, according to them. And then finally, the Nabari people are the first men. They are the men of the shadows. Their empire was the first. They were originally called the Adonai, the first men. And they were conquered by the Dindori Empire, these guys, and enslaved. And a lot of them basically revolted and fled into the wilderness of the southern continent. And that was where they had discovered some certain new visitors that helped them with magic. And they became outsiders in magic. They are the renegade magi. They are the most powerful magi of the race of men. They aren't hindered by the same scholastic limitations of the kingdom or of the order, and as a result, they have kind of dabbled in arts that were considered forbidden. But as a result, they perfected things that the other races are just that's taboo. We would never do that, and it's they're basically they're to be feared. And in all actuality, if there ever was another Manowar, which was the War of the Wizards, they would easily win. So in addition to the race of men, also in Monodea, there's the race of the Wee folk. And we have the dwarfs, who belong to the great kingdom of Sindraha, which is basically resides in the Everstorm Highlands, which it's always cold and everything. So they exist in a subterranean environment where they seldomly see the light of day, and they toil away in their mines or whatever. But they have a vast network of tunnels that can lead throughout continents, and they'll never have to. They could bypass borders just by tunneling underneath them. And they're also one of the more powerful kingdoms. They're more powerful than most of the kingdoms of men, maybe less powerful than the empire of Great Fusang, but they're powerful enough in the sense that their kingdom has never fallen. They've every war they've ever suffered, they've managed to weather. Their only problem is they have a very rigid culture where things like magic and religious dogma are kind of at odds, and they're kind of prone to zeal, and they have part of their culture is it's worse than death to break an oath. So they have in their capital city the Great Book of Oaths, and it lists all promises and deeds. And if you break those, you might as well find a new world to live on. Because
that sounds fitting. It's like the dwarves are often portrayed as very rigid, and they're like stone, they're immovable. Yep. But that has pros and cons.
Yep. And I mean, there's like a saying something like, "You'll have no greater friend than a dwarf, and you'll also have no greater enemy than a dwarf."
Oh boy, yeah. Blingo's Vengeful Ghost says, "Is this on the website?" This looks like it's an image on your computer, right? It would be cool if this was on the website, dude. I couldn't find any world building information on the website. I wanted to see more. Can you put this on the website?
Yeah, I could toss this in.
Yeah.
I want to learn about the Christmas elf.
So the Christmas elf here is when we were designing the races. Again, we didn't want to rip off Tolkien. We didn't want to rip off Dungeons and Dragons.
You ripped off Santa?
No,
actually, Christmas elf. That's a Scandinavian thing.
Yeah. So we discovered. We discovered the Tomtar. The Tomtar are actually a Norwegian and a Swedish. A Scandinavian.
Are there like house guards? That type of.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. In fact, you know the story of the cobbler and the elves. That is a English perversion of the cobbler and the Tomtar, or the Meeper. And they're surprisingly strong. They look like perpetual children almost, very infantile, but they're very strong, and they're hard workers and all that stuff. But one thing that you'd notice is they kind of have something similar to the elves, and yet they were on Monadea before the arrival of the elves, or from what we know. So and they're distant cousins. Yeah, they're distant cousins of the Sindre. So it's an interesting take where they're like, oh, these are the bad guys. Wait a minute, they look kind of like us. And if you notice, the goblin here, the goblin is it's probably one of the more tragic races. In that a goblin is created from the union of mismatched elves, or the union of men and elves. They, in fact, they're the mutations that these. There was a horrible like magic.
Goblins. My goblin girlfriends. Best goblin.
These goblins are less tragic, friend.
Yeah.
Very less tragic. That's a nice pair of not tragic over there.
That's a sort of double D not tragic, or double H. It's very cool.
Copious levels of joy.
Yeah. Well, the goblins are they're formed. They are a race that was created after the schism, and unfortunately. They begin life in this hob form, and if you notice, it's a hodgepodge of the other races. Like this looks very similar to a Tomtar, but twisted in some regard. And they're actually the origin of if you've ever heard of the legend of the changelings. Good God, man!
Tell us more, friend. Tell us more.
Oh no, continue. Changelings, yes.
Sorry,
changing.
Visual aids over here.
Back this book, friend. These boobs approve.
These boobs approve, friend.
Yeah. 2 D's up. So the goblins were, when a goblin is born from an elfin union, it's obviously it's something that is a symbol of shame or whatever. So what they would constantly do is they would
don't let our goblins distract you, friend.
Yeah, I'm tripping over my words. But no, the parents of these goblins would sneak into, say, the homes of men or wherever where a child was born, and they would plant their own defective goblin child in that crib and steal the healthy baby.
They sneak in and plant the defective goblins in there.
Well, and a couple of the other races here, the satyrs or the fauns, male and female, and the Vesten. But to get back to the goblins, it's like, what is this ominous shadow here? And there's a reason for that.
Great.
The goblin begins life as a hobgoblin, or their hob form. But they're very small. They look like Tomta. Yeah. And there are mechanics in the game where you can place skill points into different, like you have racial skills, and you can actually invest in something called the Hamask. And the Hamask is a transformative mutation that changes the form of the goblin and makes them a little bit more scarier. And here we have the Hamask in different places.
I like that.
And you can
I like the little hobgoblin, so cute.
More proof that goblins are always the most fun race.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, no wonder.
You're a little biased, okay? We have a lot of goblin biased people here. But, all right.
Well, yeah.
Just a little bit.
No, so yeah, I mean, players could bypass, like, there's actually traits that you can unlock. One of them, like the Darkling, where your skin becomes ashen and gray, and you do not undergo the Hamas, and you don't get huge tracts of land. Sorry, distracted.
This is quite distracting.
Well,
He said it, not me.
These are huge tracts of land.
That's right, friend.
I did not
Anyways,
know
continue.
motorboats existed. So
Carry on.
You could bypass becoming the ogre, essentially, the big brute goblin, and you can actually gain different virtues and bonuses to being like a badass spellcaster as a hobgoblin that's got dark gray skin. In fact, goblins have a passive racial trait where the botches that they accrue, you actually get something called a botch point applied every time you screw up a spell. So a botch level of 1 is you draw from the table of botches for botch level 1, and they're fairly innocuous botches, like you turn your hair green or something, or your fingernails grow incredibly long, or something to that effect. But when you start getting higher in your botch levels, after each consecutive level of screwing up spells, essentially, they start getting extremely dangerous. Things like, I'm trying to cast Fireball and I tear my hands off and throw them at my target.
It sounds like instead of having like increased critical threats, you have increased critical fumbles for this system.
Yeah.
It's like instead of rolling a 1, anything from a 1 to a 10, you might blow your head off.
Cool. With the goblins, they have a passive trait that allows them to auto heal that botch.
Well, that's a little OP. All right.
Okay, now I definitely would want to play a goblin.
You're just selling this. You should have just opened with this.
Hands up.
Goblins that can regrow limbs and blow their heads off, and that's all you needed to say.
That's the way to play.
Yeah, well, there's another racial trait that makes their blood.
Nick looks dubious. I feel like we took a while to work up to playing that way, but all right. Anyways.
So let's see.
Again, I love the art. The art looks really good. You should put this on the website, man. I want to delve more into the world building and see all that. I love looking at just fantasy worlds and stuff. Like, I spent way too much looking at world building material. Is this is this early concepts?
Yes, these are the Aoshi. These were done by Evil Kalman several years ago. Obviously, we've settled on a design from Z-Edge, but these were some of the earlier illustrations representing the schism.
Reincarnated.
Like, for example, here's the Seelie, and if you notice their skin is almost phosphorescent.
Yeah.
Like glow to it.
Glowy.
They're very
glow in the dark.
Yeah, they're Sylvania. No, if you notice, they don't look like the Elvar from the War of the Trees. I mean, color-wise, at least.
Yeah,
and
very
then
pretty concept.
the Christmas elves.
Christmas elves. I was not thinking of that, but I knew what they are. So.
It's my keeper.
And then one of the races of men, the Alkani, the barbarians.
Nice.
Ooh,
Yeah, man.
that's a familiar friend.
Such good art. Yeah, love looking at this kind of stuff. Are you going to eventually? I assume you're going to be coming out with like world building books and stuff.
Yeah, well, one of the sections, or possibly a separate rules book, is the world of or the legends and lore, which goes over things like the medieval paradigm, like certain things, modern sensibilities don't exist in this world. Equality and things like that aren't exactly acceptable.
Oh, it's fantasy. Yeah, we got to be brutal.
Yeah, this world has a lot of unfriendliness to it, so it's good to have friends.
That's a good way to put it.
Here's one of the Shabanish, or the freemen, in his Dindori imperial armor. You can see the interesting what is it, the Avastani script, and the brass gilding.
Wow, that's
I like that
that's so
helmet
unusual to
design.
see. Like this kind of gladiator armor, but with such flashy colors.
Yeah, they're very.
Nice.
It's like seeing a Roman statue in its actual painted
Yeah.
bright colors. You know?
Yeah,
Because they actually look like that, though.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, it's just like those really gaudy colors that they had on those statues. Like especially like the faces.
Yeah, they had eyeballs and jewels.
Great.
Here's a Tomtar thief.
They make great thieves.
Yep. Here's an Alkani ranger with his pet cougar.
I think I like the Alkani. I want to play Alkani Ranger. I cast Ranger, though, in case you didn't know.
And here's the entertainer class.
Oh, that's pretty.
Very cute.
Yeah.
It was originally kind of like a bard, but the entertainer can actually use dance moves on the battlefield, which is hilarious, but also awesome. Things like pirouettes can actually bypass lunging strikes that force you to move a few paces in a direction. You can pirouette and actually remain in place. So basically, somebody that's trying to dominate you, you can actually dance around them, literally.
Oh, yeah, so it's like a bard class, or it's like a bard rogue or something with like bonuses to acrobatics or like special acrobatics feats.
Plus they have
That's how my brain works, sorry. It's like, what's the equivalent of this in Pathfinder?
Oh, yeah, the capoeira class, yeah.
The capoeira class, yeah. A bard rogue sounds pretty powerful, though.
Ogre by AJ Nazzaro.
Oh,
yeah. One of the Berserker classes.
Yeah.
All the spikes.
All the spikes.
There's another female berserker with twin choppers. The little bill hooks.
Right, give her her own series, friend. Do it now.
And the Unseelie, the frost elves, on her mounted. I keep forgetting. I think it's called an anorak. It's a type of giant wolf. And as you can see, she definitely has different coloring than your standard Elvar. She's wielding here the glaive, and then she's got the cletho here on her back, and it's all bronze and pretty dog.
Pretty.
Here's a kingdom man that's the same class. This is the cavalier, and you can see he belongs to. It looks like House Selwyn, which is the house on the walls. There's an iron barrier because iron, obviously, the elves, the Fae have aversion to it. They built this massive wall between the realm of the Fae and the realm of men, and they call it the Iron Walls, and it spans the entire northern section of the Kingdom of Men. And these guys have or at least the nobles that have kind of situated themselves here, they reside in something called the Sundered City, which is this ancient city that belonged to an empire that had collapsed during an unfortunate event in history, that the city was actually split by a massive earthquake, and half of the city is on a plateau overlooking the split other half of the city. and that's where they ended up putting the wall along the top of that plateau, so that it acts as a natural bulwark or fortification against any incursions from the Fae, because the Fae have something very similar to like the Zerg creep, where instead of it being this disgusting fleshy mass that grows on the ground, it's actually the world's trees that they've brought with them from their world that have deep roots that run through the ground and spread out their influence, and the trees are a source of magic. So you definitely don't want that encroaching on your it's like a weed almost that just overtakes your lands, and you start seeing magic and things that really shouldn't be there, werewolf attacks or something.
Right, that would not be good. Yeah, man, this art is freaking incredible. Please put this on a website. I don't need to just stare at this. So cute.
Yeah, oi, oi, oi. We've got ourselves the berserker here with a tri-flail and a battle axe, and he's got himself this nice little bear helmet.
Awesome.
Mantle.
It's kind of cute.
An older portrait here of one of the kingdom men as a warrior. He's got his winged spear and interesting shields.
Yeah,
I like that shield. It's fun.
Nice and thick and the metal thingy on it. Yeah, sweet.
I think that's that's all I have. Yeah, I mean, other than just
yeah, it definitely looks like just obviously years and years of work.
No kidding.
I'm excited.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm kind of stunned.
Pay for this out of pocket. Oh my word. Woo!
Yeah.
Back this man's project, dear
But I mean, that's also one of the things that everybody has been really commenting. It's just like an incredible amount of polish on this project. Really cool.
Yeah, very
cool. Yeah, just like look at that. Like you dominated the whole stream because like how much content we even have about it. It's just a lot. Really, really cool, man.
So much passion.
So much. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm hoping to get out of this is that I want people to put, like whatever I had as a kid that had that passion into this, like it's theirs too. Like I want people to invest in this because, again, the world isn't telling you how to think. Like part of the INFINITALE tagline used to be a Latin phrase that said "De te fabula narratur," which means this is your story. And the idea is that, it's not Dungeons and Dragons telling you, this is the world of Greyhawk and this is how things must be and you must do this or that. It's no, here's our universe. Here's how we built our interlinked story chaining, and here are our mechanics. What do you like? Put yourself in this. Put your stink in this world. Like it's your. Put up residence here. It's yours too. And the stories that I'm providing with the INFINITALE Chronicles is hopefully a primer to at least tell you what has come before you. But after that point, after the past, and we're now in the present, that's for you to make.
That's actually great. I hadn't thought about that, but that is so good, especially for like new players coming in, not having to have have the weight of all these books to read background and like spread out to like different settings. Being able to just have the comics to kind of have a cursory view of how things work. It's a lot better so that they can actually kind of ingrain themselves when they actually want to play the board game.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely don't like the railroading, and I don't like people being told, no, you can't do that. Or, like I remember I had this one DM that basically said, like, this is what your character thinks, and this is how your character did this, or this is part of your character. And it's like,
I see that in a lot of like televised YouTube D&D shows. They do that. It's like, what's the point?
I also understand where they're coming from.
They want to make their story.
I did suffer it, so I do hate it. I do outright remember snapping at my DM, just like, you are not playing my character. Stop telling me what I think. But it's understandable. Like the thing is just that you don't intend to, but like as a DM, it's really hard to not be like on the defensive, like on the edge. It's just like, how do I give them insight? How do I give them information? How do I help them with their roleplay if somebody's slipping? So it's, although I do know that some people is actually just because of how controlling they are, that they really do want to reel you in into their way of thinking. A lot of people, others, it's honestly more of a slip up of wording. when they just want to help out, and they say like you think like you probably want to say like you perceive, you know, you consider, but like if you say like you think, you really are mind controlling people, and it can be a really difficult thing, even if it's
you have to.
Because then if you start, it's a slippery slope, because then you get used to it and you start doing it more and more.
You have to convince the players that your idea was actually theirs.
Yep.
Full circle!
Clever girl!
Because you control the world. You don't have to, you know, you build the world, you make the story, you make the stuff around it. You don't have to those tricks on just forcing people to think the way you do. You can actually just bend things. So think that they came up with the idea, just like you guys are saying.
Well, yeah. So like they're not like in the game that I've developed, they're not even called DMs or dungeon masters. It's called the narrator, and as the narrator, you're setting the stage, and your players are kind of the improv acting troupe. You know,
yeah,
a lot of times.
I like the more passive wording. That's nice.
Well, it's just like, you know, when we were like the game master or whatever, and it's like, well, it has that subtle implication of, well, this is his world or this is her world, and you have to follow, you know, and it's, I'm basically presenting you a story or a conundrum or a scenario, and then, you know, as players, it's how you react that leads us to the next scenario, you know. So it's, I got a card here, and I'm like, okay, you know, you've all awakened in this room, your memories are wiped, yet you know who each other is, you know. You're in a library of sorts. There's books strewn everywhere. It looks like there was a battle or something that has taken place. And it's also very cold outside, and it appears to be nighttime. What are you going to do? You know, and then it's you got the more proactive players that start taking charge, and they're like, well, I'm going to do this. And meanwhile, the passive players are like,
I'll follow.
Trying to, yeah, well, they're also piecing together things. They're like, why is this guy so proactive? What is that? You know, and like a lot of times, we have betrayal players. We have players that are actually trying to kill the other players, and that I found that kind of rewarding in the sense that when things went wrong, they weren't mad at me. They weren't mad at the narrator. They were mad at either the other players or scenarios that were, you know, that they were led into, like, you know, people were overwhelmed and killed or whatever, and it wasn't like, damn it, the narrator screwed us or whatever. It was, I can't believe we actually followed that guy. I should have I knew he was lying to us, you know, or something. And it was like,
well, as long as they're not blaming you as the narrator, it's fine.
Yeah, you have to push that, like,
interplayer conflict. Good.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, actually, I don't want to give that one away, because then.
Yeah, don't give too much away. Yeah, don't give too much away. You shared so much. I feel like people are saying, yes, put this stuff on the website. I agree. Yeah. There's this would be really, really cool if, I mean, obviously this project is super polished, and you have like, if the first book is already done, there's no risk to backing the book, but just seeing more to world building on a website, because I think people really like that. And you got to get on some more shows, I think. Yeah, if you can get on Shane or Frega. And have you been on Bancroft show yet?
I don't believe so, no.
Yeah, I will. I'll send you the handles for all those people. And
Raging Golden Eagle.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, this will do well on Raging Golden Eagle too. Yeah, it's more of an anime channel, but this also, yeah, this will. Oh, he does gaming and anime.
There's a lot
stuff.
of pretty elves in here. They're bound to like it.
Pretty elves, yeah, but
Pretty
like gaming
elves,
stuff. Yeah, it'll do well. Yeah, you
bit.
should get on RGE as well.
It's
But,
pretty elf down in the bottom right here.
the goblins, pretty goblins. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, even the goblins look pretty. So I was like, anime people are bound to like it.
sexy goblins.
Well, yeah, there's a reason for that. That's actually, you bring up a really good point about why even the ugly looks pretty. And it was actually my friend that worked at Blizzard explained to me why certain decisions were made in their art direction. When World of Warcraft first went to Asia, nobody played on the Horde side. Nobody wanted to play ugly characters.
Man, that's so.
What do you know? Asia's super superficial.
I only
Well,
when I saw those games, I actually hated all the pretty races. Like, I did not want to play anything until I saw like
outcast in Asia.
Yeah, like
Until
So the big huge cow people, and then the trolls.
Boing.
Those are the ones that I liked.
Sorry.
Well, so
Big boo cow people. I mean,
when the Burning Crusade expansion was originally planned, the Pandaren were supposed to be a horde race. In fact, if you played early World of Warcraft, in the Barrens there was a Chen's Chen's keg was a quest inside of the Barrens. Elmo.
Yeah, baby, it's the squish. You love this book.
Squish.
This book, baby.
Practice book.
It's right there, friend. Back it.
Yeah. Good old Squish. Yeah, that's hilarious. I didn't know that's why they made that decision, but you really see a stark contrast between game design in Asia and in like Western made games. It's like in Western made games, it's like you have handsome and beautiful people, but like ugly things. It's like, oh, that's cool. But in Asia, everything is pretty like.
If there's any like bestial races and stuff, they're not like ugly like goblins or trolls. They are just like buff people with animal heads.
Yeah, they just have fangs and stuff. Or they have animal heads, but they're still like perfectly toned and like.
That's like the most that they'll go for ugly. It's like animal heads.
But it's still like beautiful animal heads, like the handsomest lion.
Yeah, he's a fancy lion. No, the Blood Elves were supposed to be an alliance race. But that was supposed to be when the Burning Crusade came out. It was supposed to be the Blood Elves on the Alliance side and the Pandarans on the Horde side. And then they took a look at their heuristics and went, nobody is playing on the Horde side in Asia. These are servers that are going to waste. Let's put the Blood Elves over on the Horde side. And all of a sudden, their metrics went from 80% or 90% Horde or 90% Alliance and like 10% Horde to like 100% Horde and 0 Alliance.
It just makes me think of like one of the main things that I always just like rave about with races is that I again, like, we play Pathfinder, so that's the one that I know. But like I love how many races they are. I hate how so many of them are just like elves with a color swap. It's just pretty people. They're like, they're like they're like good at this and this, and their stats are so different. They have all these abilities, but don't worry, they look just like humans, but better. Like,
but there are so many people like playing like that, and it's like partially cultural.
It's like human better, but with blackberry. Human better, but with strawberry.
Yeah, a lot of people just like playing like that.
I agree. I agree with you. I'll pick a goblin over those any day, but I always think of my sister who did play WoW, and I remember her being like, "Oh, the Horde has Blood Elves now,
yeah, it's just like some people, I think a majority of people like that. Yeah, but like, you guys are like monster fans, and like artists tend to be more like, "Ooh, I like the ugly, weird-looking thing," but you know.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that they don't have to be ugly. Like Irene likes all of her pretty races, but they can at least be interesting looking instead of just a color swap of an elf or something.
That is true.
That's so lame. That's so lame.
If you get too creative, you'll turn some people off.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. There is that fine, like there is that spectrum you have to hit. But I'm hoping that the elves that were created in this world are distinct enough that players aren't like, oh look, it's pretty people with problems. Pick a shade. You know, it's they actually have. Like,
that is boring though.
The lore definitely helps.
Yeah.
Like the Aishi elves have eschewed pretty much all of civilization, and they're in these like little what they call walads or clans. And their clans are associated to specific trees. So you have like
that's really cool.
Like they're all named after I just can't remember the names off the top of my head because.
Well, the clans are all like they're wood elves, but the elves are depending on like the clans are tied to trees. Now, cool.
And they all have their own distinct, like the birch elves. I can't remember what birch was in Gaelic, but that's the Walad's name. Yeah. And Walad, the people are very distinct. Like they'll wrap their arms in birch bark, like paper, and they, they're called the ghost elves because they put powder on. They just look like a very different. Even though they're still Aishi, they look very different than say the Narwhal. What is it? The pine elves essentially. And the pine elves are more the alpine mountainous elves that, they're, I don't know. There's also the elves that reside in like the fungal forests. I can't remember what that's called.
Chris will like that. Other Chris. Yeah. Tell him about the fungal forest elves. Yeah. Oh man, so detailed. This is I can't wait to see like the world building book for this. That'll be fascinating.
I've always been a big nerd, so it's fun to like
really
have art for
we're not nerds here.
It's like that's only the 5th time you've mentioned it in the last hour.
That's why we've been talking about this for almost 3 hours. We should probably wrap things up, but this has been fascinating. We still have to play the trailer. Let me play that trailer.
Let's close down on the Aquaman trailer.
No, we are not playing the Aquaman trailer.
A reward for everyone who stayed to the end.
Yes! For all you people actually paid attention to this as you should.
Serve it up, friend.
I hate having to share.
Thankfully, we always have Dan to help us out with visuals.
Yeah, the visual aids have been quite entertaining.
I only have like one screen at the moment, so.
You've been sketching this whole.
There you go.
Well, I guess.
Oh my gosh.
We were really saturated with it and stuff.
All right, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. All right, let's go.
To share audio.
Tell me if I didn't.
We were all innocent once. That time is no more. The illusions of safety and assurance are inexorably dispelled by experience. On the world of Hesperia, the children of the gods were torn from their sanctuary of a blissful ignorance and unchallenged dogma. Eventually, everyone must grow up, even the eternally young. A single act of defiance set events in motion that would shatter the very foundation of existence. As the conflagration of a great war burned through the lands, unlikely allies rose from the ashes to defy extinction. The angered gods sought to rid the world of a blight that had befell their flocks. This infection was an unforgivable sin, the true knowledge of creation. Their wrath was cruel and merciless. These are the tales of the great war that destroyed our world, and of the heroes that led us to new lands beyond it. The trees.
Nice.
Oh wow! I didn't even pay attention to that. First issue, 50 pages. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's hefty. Cool.
Screen. Hell yeah! Awesome.
Yeah,
that was a hell of a pitch.
Yeah, I keep telling Irene her book is really big as it is. Like, oh wow, Chris's is 50. Okay.
It's not, dude.
That's why that's kind of why like when I was setting up my Twitter account to promote this, Twitter actually did something positive for once. It was like, hey, here are some people you might want to follow, and Rini Draws was one of them. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yay!
So I hit it, and then I noticed in your bio, you're like, hey, check out my Indiegogo thing. And my first reaction was an audible, holy shit. And I was like, this is awesome.
Thank you. That's high praise, because I have not been working on this since 1991, and
that's
just a measly 4 years of world building, and I'm all doing it myself. I don't have other art. Well, AC's done some art for me and Nick's coloring, which is very appreciated, but it's a lot of work, and I'm going insane. But I will persevere. Yeah.
Well,
but look at that, the fact that you were recommended right away. It is really meaning that like you are actually kind of making a dent on actually being noticed. And then also, Chris, great that happenstance led you to that to also hang out here on the channel.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I really
I told you you'd fit right in this crowd, and dude, you're more than welcome to come back on. Like, if you want to wrap up the campaign, if you want to like book 2 or whatever, just want to hop on. Like, we have a guest every week, and we talk about a certain subject of discussion. But it's like if there are open spaces, like you're welcome to come on and just talk. Or definitely, if you want to close on this channel, if you're coming out with a second book, you're always welcome to come here and promote.
Wow, that means a lot, actually. Thank you very much.
Oh, of course, this was awesome. This was awesome.
Yeah, I really like
share babies in our books.
Yeah, I really appreciate having the opportunity to show this, because when I initially put this out, I have imposter syndrome pretty badly.
Oh, we all do though. We have to pretend like we don't.
Especially like whenever you're putting out your first book, you're bound to.
Yeah,
it's untouched territory, so it's hard not to feel a bit insecure.
It's horrible.
It helps to have other people, other like-minded people and stuff around.
Yeah. It's like this is people really want this book. What? But when they get it, they're gonna hate it. They're gonna realize I'm a fraud all along.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing.
I
is like
still feel like that.
Well, because I'm a nobody, and I don't have a proven track record. I'm not like
nobody. What are we?
Like my name means nothing.
She said.
Okay, all right. I said if you're a nobody because you have so much industry experience, then what are we? Well, not in comics, but in games, and that's still a lot of experience doing creative stuff. And we have a very polished campaign, so I don't. You got nothing to worry about.
I appreciate that. It's just so worrisome because it's like.
I know it is.
You don't have I don't have a name that means anything. I mean, people look at big fat white bald guy and they're like, his last name is Fisk. Isn't he like the arch villain of Spider-Man or something? That's all I know. Yeah, Wilson Fisk.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I mean, I have an unproven product. I mean, one of the people that I originally approached this to ask for kind of featuring this, they're like, maybe the book's complete shit. I don't know, and it's like, it could be, I mean, I'm the worst judge of, we're the worst judge of our own stuff because we're our worst critics. I mean, we're like, we're the most critical. And at the same time, like, there's that needle that goes in either direction. We're either too full of ourselves and thinking that we have the greatest thing in the world, or this is terrible shit.
Oh, and there's no in between.
Yeah,
it can both of those exist in every creator. It's zero chill. Yeah. But like that's why I've said this before, and I'm never gonna stop saying it. It's crowdfunding, and especially doing comics at Indiegogo. That's why it's so great, because people are willing to take a risk on new projects, and it doesn't matter if you're unproven. It's about if your project looks good.
And also it's been a great proof to see that it's been a good way of being able to actually find those niche audiences or books that might not necessarily actually glow that much out in the wild.
Absolutely. It's a really good platform for finding new audiences as well. Not just, I don't know about I guess niche audiences, but people are open to experimenting. And I thought my book wouldn't do well because it was very manga, but I've had so many people tell me I don't like manga, but this looks like you're invested and it looks like a good book. So this is the first manga thing I'm backing. Like, people, they just care about having a good product.
I like, one thing that really stood out to me when I first saw your book Fiendish was that it has a very distinct style that I would say is the Rini style. It's a marriage.
You could see Irene's style from a mile away.
Yeah, and that's a good thing, because that means when I'm looking for that, I can see that and go, I'm going to get this because I liked Fiendish, so I'm going to like whatever I see that looks like this as well. So there is that visual kind of comparison.
That's good to hear.
And it makes me feel that. Like that's one of the things that I worry about with mine is like, oh God, first thing people say is, oh, it's ElfQuest, or oh, it's this or that. Like that causes a problem. I mean, clearly it has a benefit of saying, okay, well, if I liked ElfQuest, I'll like this. So there is that comparison. But when you have a unique art style like yours, nobody else is gonna like. You're not gonna be the second fiddle. You are going to be you. You know, like they're gonna see Fiendish and go, "That's Rini's book. Like whatever she does next, I liked this, so I'm gonna like that too." You know, and it's not generic.
Sorry, go ahead, Chris. I keep cutting you off. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I blather on too much. You know, it's a New England thing. But it just
you're fine.
It's something where your work is never going to be compared to others. Nobody's going to say, "Oh, you ripped off so."
But you will compare it to others. I mean, I worry about actually having a style. It's good that I don't know. It's what, like it's an artist thing. Sometimes you don't realize you have a style. And until other people point it out to you, I worry about that because I think, well, I've spent a lot of time trying to be a style chameleon, and I think I don't fit that. Like, by essence, I really don't like being told how to draw, but I had to pay the bills, so I was like, oh, I had to suppress myself for so long.
Irene, I forget if I told you this. I was like, when Chris was actually mentioned that about your style actually popping out. I remember when we were in one of the conventions here in Colombia, we actually went to one of the alleys that actually had like stores with comic books and stuff. And as we were just kind of browsing around, because my dad wanted to just check, it's like, oh, this is what you do. Check out the comics. We'll check out the comics. So we walk around there, and I actually spotted your Gwenpool books when I was just walking, because it's just like I saw the heads. It's like, those are Irene heads. I was able to just go beeline it, and just check it out. I was like, oh, check it out, Dad. This is Irene. This is my friend.
Oh God.
So it's like it's not just Chris saying it. Like you really your manga style stands out, even amidst other people that actually have a manga style.
That's cool. That's good to hear. Of course, I still think I'm always trying to improve, and I'm very happy with what Chapter 1 turned out to be with like this product that I've made. But Chapter 2 is going to be even better, and that's honestly, if I've been kind of quiet on Twitter, it's because I am just like buried in revising Chapter 2 and like perfecting it, because it's going to be a bigger book. Right now it's at like 73 pages, and I've got a bunch of ideas. Like I'm going to like adding the world building information in the back of the book, and maybe doing an ash can. So because I got like a bit of a
as long as you actually focus on that book.
Right, Nick is. I've had so it's like we printed the grayscale, and I keep on looking at like, oh, we can add this thing in color. Do you think I should like edit this thing and do like a second printing? And Nick has been like, we literally, it was like yesterday. I was like doing a meeting and talking about the colors, and Nick's like, don't, you're done. Move on to the next book. So it's a problem because I have a huge problem with editing things that are done. So before we move on from that topic, I actually did want to say, Chris, you when you were bringing up the whole thing about the Irene's style popping out and you being afraid of having your book be compared, watch out for you yourself pitching your book as a comparison, because that is actually the first thing that you did coming in. You describe your book not by actually summarizing it and explaining it, but by trying to define it by approximating it to other properties that people know about.
Yeah.
So
I think that's probably a throwback from game development. You know, there's
I get that, and I have that a lot. It's like, especially like writers that like pitch books to me. One of the first things that you can tell that is like it's a lot of writers that are not used to pitching their book is that they all just talk like it's like Who Framed Roger Rabbit combined with Escaflowne combined with this, but in the world of Tolkien. It's like that sounds like a jumble.
Well, it's good to know. It's good to have those references.
It's not like it's lost, but you yourself talked about fearing that. Watch out for starting with that pitch.
I think you can add it in, but at the end, like talk about. I think your story about the losing of innocence, and like you have this child that's destined to die. That's great. Open with that. Like, not that this is just a suggestion, but I think you really should open with that. But then you should add that at the part of like, oh, if you want to compare your project to something, add it afterwards, but open with like,
Yeah, because it was Irene that had to actually like bug you about actually talking about what your story was about at a certain point.
So if I opened with, guys, I got this great book. It's about killing babies.
No, that would do so You don't understand.
Yes,
No,
yes,
that's compelling. That is so. That's a great opener. I'm fucking serious.
So I have this awesome book, okay? It's a huge, expansive fantasy world, and it's all about killing a baby.
Dude, that stands out like hell.
I must have just passed out during the moment where you talked about your book in that way at any point.
So next time open with that and then explain what it's about. Because that's good. Because it's shocking, but the people you grab their attention.
I think that any which way that's fine. It's just that if you're saying that you fear that thing of being actually compared, watch out for actually starting out with that. That's all.
Yeah, that's good advice. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a nasty habit I picked up in game development, because when you're pitching ideas to ADD-addled producers,
because like I said, in video games, you really want to be like selling off of successes and know that those things that they want, the more of the same, to know that it is integrated onto that.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it's kind of harder to pitch a video game too, because video games aren't always about the story. It's not like you have a log line for a video game, but comics and movies are different. With comics and movies, you want to start with the log line and then compare it to other properties afterwards.
Yeah. At the same time, like just like Irene said, it's a cool thing to also hear your influences on that, because like I think you're the first one. I mean, I know that I've been skipping a lot of streams, but like, you're actually the first person that I've actually heard talking about Elf in a very long time. And so that actually caught my attention and also made me more interested in the book, because I'm usually not that interested in pretty people books.
You've done it! You made Nick interested in the Elf book.
It's just like Irene says, like she got a bunch of people that says like they don't like manga, but they like the passion and the stuff with their story. The same thing with you. It's like you talked a lot about the work that you put into it, how developed the world is, and then also heard about your influences on books that I like and respect. So it's like made me have a lot more interest for it than if I had just like looked at the covers like, oh, elves. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh, that's good to know. Hopefully, well, I mean, if you hate elves, this book will be awesome, because there's a lot of messed up things that happen to them.
Covering your bases.
It's about killing elf babies.
Don't hate
this book,
elves. Just tend to have I tend to assume what kind of a story it'll be if it's covered with pretty elves.
Yeah, well, that's the odd part was, as a writer, like you go with what you know. It's why George Lucas dropped the ball when he wrote romance in Attack of the Clones.
Write what you know. So yeah, like, I covered it with pretty people. I just write what I know, you guys.
Man.
Like for me, like it seems odd after saying that and then having a female protagonist, because as you can tell, haven't lived life in those shoes. But the beauty of it is the character wasn't necessarily written by me. It was written by a girl who played this character. And
right.
It's her perspectives. So it's more of like an exercise of consciousnesses, if that's the word.
It's a collaboration.
Yeah, a collaboration of storytelling rather than just one person dictating this. Like I was the narrator. I gave the scenarios. I gave the world. I gave them the five senses when I described things. And then it was up for them to do with what they would, and the actions that you see, the decisions, the dialogue that was made, the more or less it's paraphrased. Obviously, I've had to run it through.
Sure, yeah, because you have to edit it. Like the dialogue or actions, even the drama will probably not be the same, but it's like the intent that you create through that storytelling that can inspire you as well. Like I don't have the same example talking about like a female perspective, but like, for example, playing Pathfinder stuff, like one of the things that I've really been leeching off creatively is actually some of our male players, because I tend to be too mechanical and functional in the way that I think. So, and I think that Irene can probably also empathize with this, is that I have a hard time thinking about these very impulsive and emotional decision processes for characters. But we have players that do that. It's like, and I feel like and I know that like I hear some DMs talking about it, and I'm just like, oh man, I have these players that just activate every trap, they fall for every lie. It's like, no, but you need those. Those are the players that actually activate all the storytelling. If everybody just is acing like, all these things that never happen, it's great. It's these are in seeing people / characters actually being propelled emotionally is very interesting, because it helps you kind of be able to engage what really is, how realistic it is for that kind of train of thought to really work. Because, you know, like, again, someone that has like cut and dry and functional on the way that I think, as me, always looks at fiction, is like, man, these characters are stupid. That guy's stupid. That guy's an idiot. Like, why would you ever do that? The functional thing would be to do this. The intelligent thing would be like, no, don't risk not attacking the doppelganger. He looks like your mom, but he could kill you. Just kill it. Whatever. It's like, what are you gonna get out of this alive anyway?
Yeah, you're highly illogical.
What, you want to live?
Yeah.
No.
So yeah, like this stuff has been really useful to just develop our own stories in the background and learn a lot from that. It helps to have kind of like a consensus from just like a bunch of different people, different opinions and perspectives, kind of work out and like understand how different characters would actually work out.
You kind of like, when you're playing these games, you kind of have a tool to get into the minds of your fellow players and stuff, and just actually see from a different angle how people think and how their psyches work and stuff, and you can learn a lot from that. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
That's true. Like, that's why I'm doing the Pathfinder streams on my channel too. I mean, just because we all enjoy the hobby, and you know, like, it's kind of it's not like a Pathfinder campaign in a comic form, but I've always said that the creative spark from it was from playing Pathfinder. Even though I built my own magic system, my own world, just like you said, you don't want to like just be doing another version of Tolkien. That's my approach as well. But like, I realized that I struggle so much with writing, even though I like to write, I like the world build, but I realized I was always more like also very plot point, but I had a lot of trouble with characterization, with like acting. I was always like, well, this is what's the plot point, this is where the mystery, I would lay out the way a mystery needs to be solved, or like the world building and everything, but I don't know, like personalities and acting was a bar. But
it's hard to write someone that is like things diametrically opposite from you as a writer.
Right. And everyone is, I don't know, it just doesn't come naturally to some people. But role-playing games helped me break through that barrier, and I think it was very effective. So that's why I came on. I really think people who are interested in doing comics or any creative endeavor should, or anything regarding storytelling, should try role-playing games. Even just once, even just for like a module or something. I think it's like a shrink session in some ways, but I think everyone would have some breakthroughs by playing this.
It kind of breaks the ice both for yourself and with others.
Yeah. Tell me about your relationship with your father.
Oh God, yeah. Yvonne, do you want to? Listen, Yvonne's one of our players, and he's the one that walks into all the traps.
Oh, no,
Yvonne, you're awesome.
We actually have tagged him as like the greedy player. He is actually the one that is actually driven a lot of the time by treasure, which is it's very abstract for me, because for me it's really hard for me to just like, for me I just see it as like, yes, this is just a resource in a game, but I can put it in a balance into like, how much do I care for this in balance to my hit points? Even it's just like, gold.
No, it's like a running joke. He'll have like 2 hit points left. It's like, how are you doing? Can you take another hit? It's like, yes. And then it's like, oh, I'm 1 hit point from dying. Well, how did that happen? But there was gold there. I have to attack him. I get the gold. Yvonne, you're awesome. We love you, Yvonne. We say this leveling. Thank you for triggering all the traps so they don't hit us.
Thank you for stepping into all the traps. So
Oh, yeah,
our
yeah,
characters
also- oh, yeah.
don't have to.
Oh yeah. Also, we do. This all happens right now because we are like, what is it, like, hindsight is 20/20 and all that. But when the games happen, I do remember Irene tends to be brilliant. So it's like, what? Why does Ivan get all of this solo XP? Why is he just rocketing over everybody? Oh, because he just fell for all the traps. Like he survived.
I try to get XP by like actually solving problems and avoiding the traps, and I'm gonna be the team leader. And then it's like just the character that's not doing any of that, just running into traps, gets so many XP. I was like, oh. Okay.
He's very in character.
Fortune's favor for both.
I mean,
He's also very impulsive.
Okay, yeah. It's only fair if you're risking death every session that you get more XP. So,
XP.
love you, Yvonne. Kriegaloo, thanks for joining. Okay, so good luck on your project. New Chris, you have been christened New Chris. Sugar
Right.
Chris is old Chris. You are now New Chris, and he said Kriegaloo is looking forward to your project. So thank you for joining us. Yeah. Whew, boy, this has been something. I just realized both of you have arcade systems in your background, Dan and you, Chris.
Dan too? Oh my
yeah,
god.
I didn't realize you had that. Oh my gosh.
We truly are nerds here.
What? Never. But whew. All right. Speaking of Dan, Goblin Girl.
Yes, friend.
Everybody. Friend.
We're not gonna have goblins. We're not gonna have elves in the first book. We'll have them in the second book.
Oh, you will. Let me post the link right now.
See, I promise, boobs.
Sign up for Goblin Girl, friend, if you haven't yet. Yeah, we've been very like fantasy and goblin and monster themed today, so I really like this. You've got the elf book and you got the goblin book, but we've all got got a little bit of everybody
It's
else.
a sneak peek of one of my elves.
Oh, nice. That's a very like hoity-toity elf face.
Wow, that was a powerful chin for an elf.
Yeah, my elves are extra fancy and super douchey, but it's all right.
Perfect.
Goblin Girl thinks elves are delicious.
Oh, good.
Dan, I have to ask, are elves half as well endowed as goblins?
You know what? I don't know if we're gonna get into that so much. I mean, I could show you some goblins.
Yeah? This is Dan speaking? Who are you?
Well, hold on. I've got
Is that a spoiler?
I've got some elf designs. I'll show you what they
male
look like.
elves. Well endowed in other ways.
Here, let me.
Holy
switch my-
Marion protrusions, Batman.
My word. Are you sharing something?
Yes. So this is
Ooh. All right.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Nice.
So
that was spot on. They're literally half as well endowed.
Yeah, there you go.
That's like that's normal boob size.
I'll work on getting some more that are a little more endowed, but they're like. I mean, there's some of them are.
I guess because elves are just supposed to be like super slim. It'd be a little weird.
It's like having like 2 extra moles for combat.
I mean, what I'm curious about is not the size. It's like the boobs are like
the texture.
They like point up.
Oh.
Yeah, they're pointy.
Ah,
because
that's a special racial feature.
Everything is upwards. It's all upwards and narrow and.
Well, the boob holes in the armor looks great.
Yeah, so that's the. No, those aren't bare. That's metal.
I assume that those were covered because remember that the Dan's nipples tend to be pretty wide. So I
thought it was
metal.
Yeah,
you're right. You're right.
Nude. This isn't nude. Just
no.
I'll just say that it's
right.
I thought it was just cloth.
We would never, not on this channel.
No, no.
Do that to you.
What? It's not like I tried and have flashed my own channel before with my own art. That came out kind of weird, but anyways. I have a bare boob on page 2 of my book.
I didn't see that. Kriegaloo was saying goodbye. Bye, Kriegaloo, if you haven't already left.
Kriegaloo. Oh gosh. So yes, Fat Goblin Girlfriends. They are going to be goblins and elves, and the goblins eating elves. You want that?
Yes.
Don't you?
Yeah, they'll talk about the elves in the first book a little bit, but they won't show them until the second book.
Nice. All right.
There's not many of them, so.
I wonder why. Have they been eaten by goblins? There's not a lot of elves, but a lot of very full goblins. Funny how that works. The link for this is in the chat now.
That's
and
correct.
of course, Fiendish! I have updated the campaign page. So if y'all haven't checked the campaign page in a while, I've been updating Nick's colored pages as they come in. And I have, as I mentioned, I can't let things go. Did I mention I can't let things go? So I've been like tweaking the cover. It's I can't make up my mind which like color cover I want to print, but so far I've settled on this one. Yeah, it's terrible, but I'll probably tweak it a little. I think I'll make like the red a little stronger because I like that intense red light. But yeah, so anyway.
Harry, maybe this is a thought. Since you've been feeling so indecisive, instead of having to pick between the warm and the cold.
Oh gosh.
Yes. No, continue.
I'm waiting for it to be silent enough for me to talk. If you're feeling that indecisive about the cold and warm, because you've been going on between them, I mean, your original cover did have more purple on that. Why don't you create a blue and red gradient in between? But since you have your character kind of reaching out, so it can be either pulling towards heat or coming out from danger towards the cold or something.
Probably, yeah, maybe. This is the one I have so far, and it's probably a little too red, but I can make it a little more, make it like mostly red and blue. I don't know. People say that that's a really common color scheme for comics, but it pops really well.
Yeah, because it's easy.
Yeah, and it pops really, and it fits the story. It's like purple is like the demonic color in the story. Yep. So it's I really like the green version I posted, but I think the purple just fits the story more because it's like I get the. Let me show you guys the green one. This is this is what I've been doing in my free time all week.
The colorist window is quite hilarious.
What?
The colors are just like, okay.
Sorry. He's like.
And meanwhile, he turns slowly away from the camera and rolls across the room to the computer and goes,
No! I just want to show people the green version because I think it looks nice, but it doesn't fit my story, right? Because it's so like mellow, and this is not a very mellow story. So, anyways,
the story is hardcore.
You can come back. Not really, but it's just not mellow.
I need the colors. Don't rush them, but I need them done because I'm getting super jealous seeing all the black and white editions going out to the people that prefer the black and white. I'm like, why do I have to get both? But I'm getting both, so that's good. But damn it, I gotta wait.
No pressure, Nick, or some pressure.
No pressure, but don't rush it.
It'll be worth. No, don't rush it. Don't rush it. Yeah, they're taking longer than we expected. I mean, I tried to plan for it, but again, this was going to be a grayscale book. I had to tack on push the color book printing back because I wasn't planning on coloring it. But some of my pages were so detailed that it was the flatting that held everything up. So it was just like so much detail to flat. But Nick's making good progress. I think he's on probably the last half of the book now.
Yeah, and for everybody that was like, again, I really was hoping to get it done by now. Sorry that it's.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad because the color is fantastic.
I get that.
As long as the colors are that, I'll wait. I don't care. I'll wait.
Sure. There's also audience. So honestly, to be fair, we made promises on making it at a certain time. So sorry for the delays. It has been more difficult than expected. But to be fair, we are currently over the hardest pages to deal with. So we're now I'm currently on the fight scenes, which are the easiest ones right now. So
cool.
I should be able to speed up a lot on the part that we are.
Awesome. Yeah, good to hear. And again, well, it's just about keeping people updated, you know. Because yeah, we didn't plan on coloring this, but this is a good lesson for scheduling book 2, definitely. Like, add an extra 2 months to everything.
And and Dan, thanks for the kind words about the colors.
Seriously, this right here, right there, people, like that.
I agree.
Look, this is what took the flatting. So this shit.
That's
so
nice. I love that.
I'm partially responsible.
The other one that looked amazing that I hadn't seen before was the ones you were just showing a minute ago, where they were on the cart.
Oh yeah, and I updated the headers and down so here. Good. Yeah, this I just posted. I really like how this page looks.
Yes, the shot of it leaping onto the and the color palette of the cart and contrast is great.
Yeah, Nick did really good with the palette on this. Yeah. So.
Also, they ought to look better in print, by the way, because right now this is being seen on the screen, so it's CMYK RGB, and it's like it is darkening them up a lot more than they should be. But they look better.
Nick talking himself down. They look great.
No, I'm not talking myself down. I know that my work looks better than what it's looking right now. So just
cool. Okay, all right.
The color of the trees, even like the trees where you've got the green and the snow on there, and it looks natural. I like it.
Yeah, that really olivey.
I'm liking.
I like the olivey hue. It's very like creepy.
Yeah, and then this even the panel below it with just the characters reacting is great. Like I like the subtlety of the lighting on the face of the guy that's like leaning forward is just like fantastic.
I concur. Looks great.
I'm like, it makes me nervous. I'm like, I want my book to look this good. Billy's good. Billy Vasco is amazing colorist. But every time I see something new that comes out and it's got amazing color, I'm like Billy, we gotta be at least this good. Billy's like, I've got you, Dan. Don't worry.
That is such a good Billy impression.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Billy. Billy's
he's very
fantastic.
dead,
Well, I don't know. No. He's got a demeanor. He's not dead, man. He's got a demeanor to him.
He's got a demeanor. I'm not really doing like the full Billy impression. I'm just kind of doing the voice a little bit.
Yeah. We gotta have him on sometimes. Yeah.
He's like serious and goes, "Don't worry, man. It's gonna be good."
Yeah, he was it. Yeah, I'm sure he'll do a great job for Goblin Girl as well. You got this. You got this. Yeah. Yep. We can do it! We got this! I mean, I'm super nervous now because I'm like,
on the back? Man,
I'm like, it's like I finished chapter 1 and even for chapter 2, I was like, oh, there's so much I've learned and I want to go back and edit things and my team's having to hold me back from editing things, so.
If only we can stop her from editing the cover a 10th time.
I can't!
Chapter 2.
Okay, so anyways, also, if you didn't know, I have a website as for my comic as well. I have a preview. It's the first 20 pages of the comic because I wanted to just be really transparent and let everybody see the storytelling. So if you're having any doubts, if you haven't seen this project and you want to just get a feel for how it reads, go on the website, fiendishcomic.com. It's also in the description. And you can take a look at the first section of chapter 1. So this is just like the first 20 pages. The whole thing is like 50 pages. What?
I've drawn my cover like 5 times.
Oh, stop! But it takes you like an hour to draw each.
I'm redrawing it again.
You're right.
I'm gonna redraw it again.
It really does. It really does hamper the argument. But does show how fast he is.
I know he's so fast. It's not fair. I'm not a fast artist.
Good.
Oh gosh,
you'd better at least be recycling those covers and other things.
Yeah.
Don't let that work go to waste.
Well, they're going to be, one of them's probably going to be an art print because somebody already started coloring it, which is this one. This one will be most likely an art print at some point. I don't know if it's on this campaign or what, but my other friend that was going to color the book, he already partially started this, so I was like, just finish it and I'll turn it into a poster.
Oh, sorry, I was looking at the chat. I'm the worst.
The rest of them are going to be probably just...
Look at that.
They're going to be, like,
look, that's
I really love the top part there, like, a lot, so I'm hoping I can match this top stuff really well when I do the next.
Yeah, you know what? Like, and that part can also be, when aside from, making it a print and stuff, that top part can also be recycled as a header for something.
Yeah. And like this one, I love this one, so I'm going to use this for something at some point.
Woo! I mean, if you're not,
like how,
feel free to send them to me.
I like how the guy with the popping eye came out. That's probably my favorite of that cover.
And I really love her demeanor on this one. Like, this is probably one of my more favorite ones of her, like, personality.
Yeah, but then it's like, considering how she is right there, like, that one's also one of the easiest to either even reuse on another cover, on a page or anything, just because she's just like cut around her.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that one's good. That one's good. I hope to see the other ones in like posters or just interior backgrounds, but yeah, that's good.
The other one's gonna be a wraparound, the next one I do. So.
Sweet. Oh, that's gonna be so cool.
Maybe put some more elements in it that aren't in this one.
I was gonna say,
one boob on the front cover and one boob on the back cover.
Like,
now you're catching on.
So you just like opening it.
You learned sexy stuff.
You just grab the
inside cover, inside cover,
and start moving it up. So just make it flap.
The clothes one is on the outside cover, and the inside cover is like the
oh yeah. You
unclothed.
You make you put it on one side of the inside cover and the other, and then you put metal clasps for when it closes, so that when you grab it and start moving it around, it'll also start clacking.
Oh, we're so good at this. You should hire us for marketing. We know the marketing of booze. We got this down.
I'm gonna try and find something that I can share with you guys. I think I've only shared it like one other time.
Ooh, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, exclusive. So, but one last thing on his website. I also have a language, so check it out.
Yes.
I'm a crazy person. I have it all on the website, just as I can't restrain myself. So there you go. Have fun.
I think it's this one.
Goblin girl. Look at that. And she's so cute. She's just the cutest. The day later says, darn it, I was going to ask him to send me his rejects. Sorry, I got to it first.
The rejects.
Sorry. I mean, his rejects are like just normal good covers for everyone else, but I don't know. If he doesn't want it, I'll take it.
Oh my god.
I'm renovating my house. I need art for my walls.
I'm most likely I'll be selling them on the campaign as well.
Oh yeah, that's smart.
I'll be selling original pages and stuff.
Sell
okay,
them
this is probably gonna if you want one. This is gonna take a minute. So hopefully we can
let me catch up with the chat. Shane, thank you for joining. It's probably super late over there, but thank you for joining us as always. Have a good night. Good night. It's almost midnight here, but I don't sleep until like 3 a.m. So
no sleep till English.
The boobs market themselves. That is true. Yeah, I have no idea why I have so much energy. I mean, I was super tired for a couple of days because I was like renovating my house. I plastered, I did stucco on an entire wall.
Oh.
And by the way, the hole in my ceiling is now fixed, but now I have to paint and plaster my walls, and now I have to finish the flooring, and I'm trying to do what I can myself because I'm trying to save money, and I'm like, I just feel like if I can do it myself, I'm going to, right? I don't want to sit around and be like, do things for me, contractor.
Oh, hey, Irene, before you move away from having actually made that quest, the reason why you have so much energy is because somebody came here and started talking about having made their own language.
What? Well, of course, yes. So we need to talk more about that, Chris.
Cogito ergo sum. No,
what?
The Latin, I think.
That
Therefore,
does sound like Latin.
Yeah. Well, I was also really interested in etymology. I love the study of names. So it's fun looking at people's names and.
I love that stuff.
Like my name, if you were to etymologically dissect what my name means, it's Christ-bearing pirate fish.
Oh, isn't that funny? If I like etymology and naming as well. What's interesting is because I am learning Japanese and I speak Mandarin, so seeing the differences between that kind of stuff. I've always just really liked languages because I grew up trilingual basically. But it's my name means the same thing in English and Chinese. So
Oh, really?
it's
That's
it's
cool.
my English name. First name is Irene, and my middle name is Alyssa. Irene means peace. Alyssa means like wisdom, I guess. And in Chinese, my name Andre is also peace and wisdom. So
Oh, cool.
my parents are smart, I guess.
That's awesome.
And Andre also sounds like Irene. So
It's very inaccurate saying the first name is Peace.
Oh, be quiet! You've been silent for like 3 hours, and you
Got
kind of
sniping him out from the corner.
unmuted yourself just to say that.
You were supposed to wrap up like an hour ago.
So Casimir is the name of my main character. The name, I think it can mean several things because it's a Slavic name, and Mir can be just Mir or Miru, and it can mean either world or enemy, I think so. But Casimir, the translation I found that's most commonly accepted is destruction of your enemies, and I was like, that really fits the character.
Hell
So
yeah.
it's like, is he supposed to start out like really good at fighting and like it's just efficient at violence? not that I don't know. I'm gonna make him sound like this most horrible person, but
No, that's an awesome descriptor. You know, you
Right.
put that on your CV. Efficient at violence.
efficient at violence. Yeah, but well, the concept was he starts out.
Manga protagonist.
Oh, stop! But I like writing
So
that kind of stuff.
Loaded.
Oh, here you go. There you go.
Baron.
Ooh, yes.
Hold on.
Well, the idea was he starts out good at fighting, but he discovers that he has to find other, learn spell casting, other kinds of strength. So it's a whole thing with the character arc. I don't want to spoil too
Wow,
much.
here we go.
Yo, that looks awesome.
Can you do STL files for us?
Oh, that's right. I think you had talked about the fact that you're doing this.
Dude, that's cool.
Hell yeah. Is that in boxes
yes.
or
It's what's that?
was this done in let's see, not Mudbox. What's the app that created this?
You know what? I don't remember what they used. It's a game designer friend of mine
Cool.
that I work with Billy. She's like Billy's partner. She sculpted this for me.
Right.
That's very cool.
Dan,
That's awesome.
Dan, could you actually change it to a brighter color like green or something so we could see some of the
Yes.
Yeah, there we go. Like we can actually see the detail now.
Oh yeah. You're gonna have to test it, make sure she doesn't fall over forward.
The
That
STL file.
is a heavy
Skip it.
piece though. That's like
Yeah,
that's
that's
That was for a different one. I think I screwed it up.
oh.
I think it's just
Mine takes
lagging.
overload.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was really cool to see though. I'm so jealous. So many people have 3D printed figurines and little models for their campaigns already.
Well, that's not going to be on this one because it's like a statue, so it'll be for the next campaign. So,
Sweet, yeah.
which there's secret things for the next campaign.
You got an exclusive sneak peek.
Some
Well, you
things that I may have already started drawing for the next campaign that don't have to do with the actual Goblin Girl book.
We'll see.
Alright.
I wonder what these
Side
things
story,
could be.
maybe, friend?
Maybe. No idea. Stay tuned. For the
Stay
people
tuned.
who sat through this 4-hour stream,
Yes.
this is like a little hint we're dropping.
This
There's
is how
something
you get
very
your-
special you should look forward to with the next Goblin
This
Girl
is how
book.
you get your coupon for your free spam at CB.
Yes.
Nice.
Sit through 4-hour streams and listen and hang out with us because we're the cool kids.
Right.
So anyways, we got some cool stuff coming up and you guys are gonna love it. Let's see. Which secret? You'll find out. All right,
You'll
we're
find out.
spoiling too much.
Yeah, you'll find out, like, on October 26th, most likely you'll find out because we're going to tease it on October 26th.
Awesome. All right, I was about to
Right?
ask when Goblin Girl is gonna go.
I think. Yeah, October
October.
26th is
Okay.
the launch date for my book.
All right, yeah, you
I
will
gotta get
find
that-
out then.
Cover done. And I have a little thing for the other thing done already, so we'll show that off.
All right.
Very cool.
It's gonna happen. All right, so we've been going on for literally almost 4 hours. So why don't we wrap this up and you guys tell the chat where to find you? Let's start with Chimera. Why not?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot. Okay. Chimera
Oh no, you've been so quiet.
Right?
Punishment.
Chimera on Twitter.
He's like, I took a nap.
After I'm done fulfilling, I'll have Testament on eBay, so you can get it on there.
Sweet.
Alrighty.
Dan?
Yes. You can find me on
Art?
Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook, friends. Boop Dan Art. Please sign and subscribe and hit those bells all. And then be sure to back this man's book, friend. If you go to my Twitter now, there's 3 different links there. There's a link for, well, they're all for his book, but there's one with my drawing, there's one for this video, and there's one for his page. Go check out his book. You will not be disappointed. It is quality.
True facts.
Thanks.
AC and Nick?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter as AC Zamudio. I guess you have to search for me on Instagram technically, because my Instagram is a.c.zamudio. Yeah.
Well, the one that the icon's a frog, that's definitely her. So just look for something AC Zamudio with the frog and the icon. And Nick, my colorist extraordinaire on Fiendish.
Yeah, for me, you guys can, it's Carlos Nicolas Zamudio, but you guys can find me as Ink Imp in most social media. That is ink-imp on Blogspot, ink.imp on Instagram, and I can reliably be gotten a hold of at inkimpcontact@gmail.
Sweet. Alrighty. And Chris, how may people find you?
Sure. On let's see. On Twitter here we have the Infinitale comic. You can reach me at. I also have the website INFINITALECHRONICLES.com, and my Indiegogo campaign is Infinitale Chronicles. And just as a side, I'd like to thank everybody who backed it. Really appreciate it. Without you guys, this project won't be possible. So thank you very much.
Thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing this awesome project and coming on to explain it to us. It's been epic, truly epic.
Awesome.
And the project and the website for Infinitale, I pronounced it right. It's been a learning curve. Are in the chat. Thank you. Oh, thank you. I'm so proud of myself. It's in the not in the chat. It's in the description, but also I'm going to post in the chat one more time. And you can find me at Rini Draws on everywhere. Nope, not there. I'm not pointing at it. Okay, there. That's me.
Yeah,
and I'm on. Okay, it's hard. Doing things is hard. I don't know how to do things. So I'm Rini Draws everywhere on Twitter. I have an Instagram on Rini Draws as well, and of course YouTube. You're probably watching this on YouTube. And my project is Fiendish, and that is also linked in the description. I am fulfilling the Grayscale book, so any orders for just the Grayscale book, those ship immediately. But if you order the Grayscale book and the color, then that I will have to ship those in a few weeks. Well, the colors are still being worked on. So I'll be posting updates. I post so many updates all the time as the colors get done, and I'll let everybody know when those go to print. So, but everything is in production, and I'm currently working on chapter 2. So this project is chugging forward. And things are happening. I'm very excited for what I'm going to be bringing next to Fiendish. And by the way, I'm going to be on Red Valkyrie's channel this Saturday at 11. I'm going to be doing an art auction, so come join me then. It's going to be lots of fun because Shay is always a lot of fun. And I haven't revealed the art that I'm going to be selling yet because I actually have to finish it. But it'll be some Viking stuff, and it'll be bloody and sexy. So
Shocking.
Look forward to that. I know you're really shocked. So join me on Saturday on Red Valkyrie's channel, and apparently Shane is streaming. So why don't you guys hop over to Shane's channel? That's a perfect segue. Go, raid Shane's channel. So yeah, with that, thank you everybody for joining us. I will be streaming again next Wednesday at the same time, 8 p.m. EST. And my next guest will be the Mavericks team, so Global Frequency. And they've got a robot book, and they're going to be going into in-demand next week. So I can't wait to talk to them about that. So stay tuned for that. And have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Bye, everybody. It was great to come back.
Yeah. Night.
Good night.